Yeah, you're right. Right, okay, guys. For those of you who have arrived, I'm sorry we're a bit late on parade here. So we've come straight in. This is a regular Friday night show for us, which we'll be doing throughout the season. We'll also be doing Tuesday shows and Sunday shows. The reason we'll be doing Tuesdays is because we don't want to clash with Monday Night Football. The reason we'll be doing Fridays is because Thursday we'll be playing Europa League, and Sundays there'll be post-match after we play league games. So as you know, and you'll get used to our Tuesday, Friday and Sunday shows. Also, Chang, another admin, he will be doing shows in Malaysian time. He's 7 hours in front of us. So he'll pick his days to suit himself, during the week, and he'll do what will be morning shows for us. Right, okay? So without further ado, I'll introduce our guests. Chris, how are you?
Hi, Adrian, Mark, nice to be here. Everyone in the chat, everyone watching, pleasure to be here as always, and thank you for the invite. Yeah, not doing too badly. Thank you very much, and happy to be here, as I said before.
And Mark, how are you?
It's all good. It's all good. It's still raining here. It's been raining since 2 o'clock, I think, and it's not stopped. It's like September out there at the moment.
Not cold, but it's not cold, though, is it? So
well, it just feels cold when the sun's not about. It just feels cold. It's miserable. It's horrible.
We've got a list of things to get through on the run sheet, and we'll start with the preview of England versus Switzerland. We know that Guehi is suspended. There have been rumours. So we're obviously going to have a back four if we play with a back four, but there's been rumours that England will train with a back three. And we now know, because within the last hour or so, that Luke Shaw is available. So, Chris, what do you think Southgate will do?
Yeah, thanks for the question. With Luke Shaw being available at the moment, if he's been green lighted, then that's I imagine that's he's okay to play. Whether it's going to be a risk or not to force him back, first game after the injury, green light, so to speak, remains to be seen. Back three, it's not the first time that Southgate's used a back three. When Harry Maguire used to play for England, he was in a back three. I think with Stones and Walker, I think, but that could have varied depending on game, whatever. But I can see it. And yeah, if that's the way he wants to go, it's not something that he's just dreamt up, playing in a back three. So I'm sure that anything's possible. Either Luke Shaw coming in at back four, risky; back three, not anything new. And yeah, let's just see how the players get on with that switch up of system. Yeah.
Mark,
your take on Guehi suspended and possibly playing with a back
three? Well, Guehi's been he's certainly been our best defender.
Easy, yeah.
To be honest, he's going to be sorely missed. I'm at the stage now. Does anybody really care about England the way they've been playing? Well, it's torture. It's almost like punishment having to turn the TV on to watch it. It's punishing. Yeah, England played a back five, a back three, back five, whatever. But it's like meh, isn't it?
I know. See, now I just want to talk about a little bit of that trust issue with players, because this might have effect if Southgate were to do, which he could do. Chris, could you see a situation when Southgate plays Walker as a centre-back so as Trippier can go back to the right if Shaw plays?
As a right centre-back of a three?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. He's done it before.
I can see that, because I think it's done before. It's been done before, and so Trippier can go back to the right. Are we blessed with Trent's presence, or is he injured, or is he suspended, or anything? Because you've gone with Trippier instead of Trent on the right wing back. So seeing as he's available, I'm not sure who I choose over Trippier or Trent in the right wing back position. But to answer your question, I do think that Walker can do that perfectly well, no problem whatsoever. Right centre back of a three no problem, no issues.
Mark, your take on that with Walker coming as a centre back?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, Trent's best position is right back. It obviously didn't work for him in midfield, so why not? If he's going to play a back three, why not? I mean, Walker's got the pace, even at his age. He's still probably one of the quickest players on the pitch out of the England team, I would have said. He's got to be close. But it's like I said, England are like meh. Isn't it? You know?
We get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Everyone's a bit like
Yeah. Well, it goes to show. It goes to show. Certainly around here, I haven't seen hardly any cars with like the thing, like flags on that. Hardly any. I'd sooner talk about the game I've just watched. Germany and Spain. What a fantastic game that was.
Well, welcome, Soren.
Yeah,
welcome to the chat. I don't know if you've listened too far, Soren. Go on, Chris. Carry on. Give Soren a chance.
No, I was just going to say. Soren's gone. He saw me here and he's gone. No, I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any cars here in Spain with England flags or bandanas or anything else. So yeah. But it is strange. It's strange. I think that it's just underwhelming, isn't it? If we had a bit of a manager that had a bit more panache. In and of himself, the way I don't see anything wrong with Southgate. He's I don't know if he's eloquent as much as eloquent can be, but he's not polemic. He's not a fire starter, which is fine, which is okay. But if you had someone with a bit more panache, then maybe the fans might get a bit more enthusiastic. Plus, the way we play is a bit drab, isn't it? It's a bit trying to find our feet whilst. You're just born, I suppose, and it's very wobbly. It's kind of so I understand what Mark's saying. It's a bit meh. You talk about Spain, for example. You talk about the match that we've just seen. It's to and fro kind of thing. Each have possibilities, and obviously I was rooting for Spain. But I understand that Germany as well. Sorry, let me finish before you wobble your head. But yeah, it's kind of the thing that you want to see as a football fan. As a neutral, for example, or someone who supports either team. But watching England is a bit, if we get through, great, But it's a bit flat, isn't it? It's the wheels are a bit flat on the bus, and So yeah.
You haven't missed much, Soren, but I'll come to you. We've just been talking because we know that Guehi is suspended. So we know that England got to play with a different back four, if it's a back four, because there's rumours they've trained with a back three. And about an hour or so ago, it broke that Luke Shaw is available. So do you think Southgate will go with a back five with wing backs, or do you think he'll stick with a back four?
Oh, I think he'll stick with the back four. I kind of think he'll. I mean, it could be a slight hybrid. He might push the wing backs on a little bit and probably sit a holding midfielder there. But yeah, I mean, I kind of sort of heard you saying about Kyle Walker maybe in a back three. Has he played a back three before?
Yeah, yes.
Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of heard a little because my internet's playing up a bit, so I heard a bit about he's still got his pace. There's no doubt in his pace is there. So, yeah, I mean, he could play a back three. I think it's one of those. It's hard to tell because we don't see a lot of I don't watch a lot of international football these days, so you kind of don't necessarily see them changing the tactics like you do in the Premiership and that, week in, week out, where you can kind of think, well, yeah, he's a manager that will change it. I just don't know. Yeah, I think he'll stick to a back four. And I think
there are lots of permutations, I mean, I was going to come back. I mean, Chris mentioned whether Trent would come in because if Shaw plays on the left, whether it's wing back or not, and Trippier could play on the right, or Trent could. But if he plays the back five, or comes to you, Chris, first, can you see Trent getting a position in the back in the midfield pivot alongside Rice again, or do you think he'll stick with Mainoo or something?
I think if what I would do is put Minu along with Rice, because I think he's the one that I've seen has offered a bit more solidity in both defense and in attack. So his positional awareness is very good. He understands what the team needs, and so which is why I think that Trent could actually go back to playing right wing back, because he actually can invert if he wanted to, or he can push down the wing if needed. So your front right could, your right winger, excuse me, can actually cut in if needed. So you've got the whole right flank for Trent in the event of playing a 3 and a wide, with 2 wing backs. I think Trent does that perfectly well, and I think that he does it actually better, in my opinion, than playing in a straight back 4. Because he's got that. I think he's more attacking than defensive, and he's got that mentality about him that it's always to push forward and help the midfield, help the flank, or be helped by his other teammates as well. But I can see him over Trippier in that sense, especially if we have to go after the game, go for the game, to progress, so to speak. But that's my take. I mean, Trippier can do it as well. He's got great capacity with his ball, ball carrying, his passing, his free kicks as well. Trippier is a quality player. I'm just doubting which of the two I would choose. Although he's more defensive, I think, Trippier than Trent. So to shore up that back line, even if it's a 3 and then two wide wing backs, I think Trippier could do that on a defensive note more than Trent. It depends on how he wants to play,
Right. Yeah. So we've got an idea.
The thing is, we've got options.
Yeah, we've got an idea of the permutations that he could use in a back 5 and a 4. So, all right, if we say in a midfield, we know Rice is going to play with another, right? So then, this with wing backs, this is obviously going to affect our wings anyway. So, is Southgate going to drop the wingers, because now it's looked like we've got a front 3? If you use your wing backs to get forward and you've got a cam out of your 2, right? You still got attacking. I'll come back to my opinion later. I'm not a fan of a back 5 and wing backs anyway. I've never been quite happy with it. I'll explain later. But it doesn't mean to say it doesn't work. It's not my preferred system. I prefer a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. So front 3 then, Chris. But you can give us various permutations. I mean, you don't have to stick with a specific 3. You can juggle them a bit.
Right. So the way I see it, if you're going to put Trent in as the right wing back, okay, to give him, that freedom to, progress and to defend if needed, your right winger might have to, might come in slightly, right? So, because if not, they're going to clash. So that way, in my opinion, you could actually put Foden on the right, because he's better, just as an option, right? Because he's actually better coming in and playing off his left foot, right? The same with with the left wing, doing the same. If you've got a left wing back going down that flank, you would switch, feet, so to speak. The only problem is we haven't got a left winger that is right-footed. So unless Gordon does that anyway, I can see Foden playing on the right, Cole Palmer playing on the right. I can see Saka playing on the right to not mix up too many things and to confuse everybody. But yes, the front line would be made kind of narrower, because you'd have to permit space for the wider flanks. And then, I mean, not too much. Bellingham obviously is going to be around, doing his stuff, because I don't think Southgate's got the chops to leave him on the bench. Yeah, that's the only thing I can see, leaving the flanks free for the wide players up front to actually make the place narrower and support the teams in the overloads in the channels, in the centre channels and the half spaces, just to make overloads against Switzerland, because they are very they like to combine a lot, especially with Xhaka in the middle. So their combination play, we might have to overload the middle. So playing wing backs would actually make sense.
So would you start with Palmer then, or would you start with Foden on the right?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, because they're both very good, aren't they?
I think I'd like to see Palmer starting.
You'd like to see Palmer starting? Yeah. I mean, to freshen things up, because we've seen Foden, and if Foden, tries 2 or 3 things that don't go right, not because of maybe because he makes his own errors of judgment, or a pass goes wrong, or hey Tony, nice to see you, mate. Or the pass doesn't connect, or whatever. People are going to get frustrated. It's like, oh, why is he playing? He's been rubbish 4 games. Blah blah blah. Why don't you bring on Cole Palmer? It's the obvious choice. As I said, either one of the two would be great. And it just depends on the moment that they're in. For the manager to do his biz or not, because you know what Gareth's like. Yeah.
So Soren, do you envisage what I would like to see is I would like to see, if he's going to go with this back 5, I'd like to see Bellingham as beside Rice. And what is your front 3? What combination of front 3 would you like, or permutations of front 3?
I think Chris has just basically summed everything up. It's hard to work out how you can change the left-hand side. So you kind of look at the right. I mean, like I've just said, I'd kind of like to see Cole Palmer start, just to see what he can do on a full match, because all we keep seeing is him coming on late in the game. I think, like you say, Rice is probably going to start. Bellingham. I kind of wonder whether he'll play Harry Kane, but let him come deeper to, a bit like he did with Tottenham in that sort of first year of Conte, where he did a lot of the ball passing and allowed others to go in. It's hard to say, with Southgate, I kind of see him just changing the one player that basically, Guehi that's suspended, and literally play the same team. I don't see him really changing a massive amount, because the problem he's got is the fans are already on his back. If he changes a lot and we get hammered and we go out, it's going to be even worse for him. If he doesn't change anything, it's going to be bad for him. So I kind of think he's in a no-win situation. So I think he'll stick basically with the same starting team, other than those that can't start.
Fair enough. Mark, so would you like to see Bellingham play as a number 8? Who would you like to see behind Rice? And you can give us combinations for your front 3.
Well, I've always wanted to see Bellingham play as number 8. That's his position.
Okay.
That's where he plays for Real. Well, I believe that's where he plays for Real Madrid. Is that correct? I'm not sure.
I think he plays a bit further forward, more as a sort of hybrid 10, really.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, yeah.
But 10, he's like a hybrid Cam 10, I think.
Yeah.
So, So, what about a front 3? Well, what you can give us different variations of front 3s, obviously. There's so many permutations you can pick with this squad, So,
well, obviously Kane's got to be in there, hasn't he? You'd like to think so.
And Bellingham, they both got 2 goals each, so you got to keep them.
Yeah. It's like I said, I'm a bit meh with England, so
you're not alone.
You're not alone.
No, you're not. It's a bit. It's bland.
Everyone's uninspiring. Exasperated. They're just all.
I'm sorry about that. I even sorted my background out, but without any
This thing is though, how many times have we watched one of these competitions and the team that's been the most boring has gone on to win it? You never know.
Yeah.
No. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Gareth Southgate is the luckiest manager ever. Whatever competition we've been in, he gets the easy side of the draw always, because in the last Euros we never played no one decent till Italy in the final.
The thing is not always a good thing. I mean, my argument is that when you've got these international games, if you go into an easier side, you don't play your best football.
Yeah.
Play these better teams to show your best football. I mean, look, had they been in the side and been playing Spain today or Germany, I don't think we'd see much difference. But I kind of also think that the players will probably pick themselves up a little bit more. If you've got an easy game, or well, not so much an easy game, but these teams that we expect to win raise their game to play England. That's what we've got to remember.
Yeah.
If you're playing Ukraine or Germany or Portugal, they're not necessarily raising the game. They're coming in with the normal game because it's probably better than ours. Whereas when you're playing Switzerland or a Turkey or whoever, they're raising their game to play England.
Of course they are.
And it doesn't make it an easier game. That's the problem.
No.
Right.
But he is so lucky. He gets the easy side of the draw. And like if we were in the other side,
at Tottenham, get some easy draws.
Well, yeah, but
so Mark, I try and lift your spirits a bit. I know you get behind the team when we play. No matter what happens, we'll all get up for the game, won't we? Tomorrow. Well, so the Swiss. They gave Italy a lesson, didn't they? Really?
Yeah.
Right? So, giving a lesson. But we have got quality players. Do you think we'll beat their press and we'll get more space? So there's no way we can be as poor again, or do you just think the Swiss will just be too good for us?
We'll put it this way. Right. You'd like to think that England could beat Switzerland. If it was... If someone just said to you, England are playing Switzerland, I think 99 out of 100 people would say England will win, and quite easily. But the way England have been playing, you never know. There we go. Yeah, who's sacking Southgate? To be honest, hopefully, now that allegedly we got a new prime minister, I hope Southgate's arrested and put in the Tower of London.
I don't see. If we get knocked out, I think this will be Southgate's last competition anyway.
But to be honest, this is what I was saying. Like he always gets the easy side of the draw, and so his like CV. Oh, I got him to a final. Been in several semi-finals. Yeah, but it's been playing nobody. It's not as if he's had to beat Germany or
but the old adage, you can only beat who's in front of you.
Exactly. But that's what I was saying. He is.
Yeah, but would you rather have it the other way around, where we keep having a hard side and going out in the quarters and never getting to the final?
All right. I'd like to see us win something.
Yeah,
because I've never seen it. I was like, it was 4 years before I was born. England won the World Cup, and they've been close, but we normally get beat on penalties by Germany. I've actually got a strange feeling today because I actually feel sorry for the Germans.
Yeah,
because Germany played well in that match. I actually feel sorry for them, and it's a feeling I've never had in my life.
Well, I'd have to give it a go there at home. I didn't watch the game, but go on.
No,
it was a good game.
I did, but regarding Southgate, I think that he's been there for 8 years, right? And if you're going to continue, if there's a continuation with the same players, if there are players that in front of the press say we back our manager, well, one day I hope to be a manager because I'm doing my badge and I've got my band up. I hope to progress. I wouldn't like my players to be saying anything else in front of the press. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like you have to back your manager in front of the cameras, but in the dressing room or when you're in the hotel or when you're at home, you're thinking, why has he done this and why has he done that? And you know what I mean? Because so to continue another 2 years, for example, World Cup, or another 4 years to whatever, with these players, I think it's detrimental. And you know what happens to managers when things go manager out, than to ship 11, so I think that England need a bit of sprightliness towards them. They need a new manager. They need a new concept. They need for someone to open the window to let air in, because I think it's got a bit stale, in my opinion. And someone with, I'm not saying better or worse than Southgate, I'm just saying something different so that they can, it's like giving a kid a new lollipop. He's been sucking on that lollipop all day and there's nothing there. He's only got the little white stick on it or whatever. Give him something new and get his hopes up, And I think this is what we need. We need at England.
They need
Too
someone.
long.
They need someone who's not so much of a yes man. So that's why Southgate got the job in the first place. Because he won't say boo to a goose. He won't. You know, that's why people like Brian Clough and that never got the job.
Well, yeah, probably. Yeah.
You know,
They're in
because
dispute.
England,
in like, look, he's not picked negative teams. I mean, he's criticised for his tactics and substitutions. Fair enough. But he hasn't picked negative teams. And in fairness, you know, players also have to take some of the responsibility there. I mean, it's about passing, right? I mean, all right, we've been in trouble, we've looked poor, but come on, you guys, you're better passers than that. What is it? You're frightened. What is going through your minds that you can't pass the ball or beat a press, right? What is it? Are you not? You're not. See, again, I go back to, I always like aggressive players. Aggressive players are winners. It's a big problem we have at Spurs. You know, you've got a squad of 25. You could probably name 6 aggressive players in the squad, right? If not less, if you're a more critical fan. Yeah, I know. Others on podcasts have been more critical, so we got about 2 or 3. And to me, it's the wrong balance. At least 2/3 of your squad should be aggressive players. And this is what gets me when fans are desperate when they say, "Oh, we need leaders on the pitch. We need leaders on the pitch." What's the leader on the pitch going to do? Nothing, right? Shout at someone. They're going to make that play.
I think that there's a difference between when I mean, I'm one that shouts for leaders on the pitch, but when you've got nobody in there that's giving it to the other players when they make a mistake, pat on the back, don't worry, we'll get it next time. No, sometimes you do need that aggression and that, screaming at each other to get up and get on with it.
And fans shouldn't get too upset when players get yellow cards. You think not the silly ones for defence or pulling a shirt and something stupid like that, But you shouldn't. You want a bit of aggression. All right, I get it when fans are nervous. Oh, should we sub that player? He's on a yellow card. Looks like he's going to get a red. I get the nerves when that happens, right? But just to go back, I'm not a fan of a back five. The reason is because I prefer 4-3-3. I like players. I like the more traditional way of playing, where you're relying on more forward players to do it for you. If you're playing with wing backs, to me, they've got to be damn good wing backs. We see it when Spurs had an away game at Leeds when we had the Irish wing back from Wolves we bought from Wolves. Yeah, and then when one of the crosses come in, the other wing back did exactly what he's supposed to do. He was coming in at the far post and buries it in the net, right? But because the wing backs with me, you're asking them to be strikers, really ought to do strikers roles and all that. And I don't like the system. It's just my preference. It works. I know it works and it fails like all systems do, but I'm just not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of wing backs. I would rather have the extra midfielder and the extra one up, and the one up front. I think it's a bit more balanced. When wing backs don't work, you end up being pushed back and you end up trying to get through a game in a constant low block. And there's more out balls under a different system, I think. But that's just my opinion. So that's on that. So have you got anything more to say at England? Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys about Spain, Germany, because you watched it and I did.
I would say what's everyone's predictions for tomorrow?
If you believe in omens, I'll just give you a bit before you make your decisions. If you believe in omens,
I bet you're going to say, aren't you?
No, England have got which you would expect over the year. They've got a superb record against Switzerland. I think Switzerland beat us one in a competition in 13, 14 or 15 games or something. But really, it don't make no difference, because if we had done that, say, against Brazil and we were playing the Brazil side of the 70s, we're going to get hammered anyway. So it don't matter, right? Then omens don't come into it. But go on, sorry. I interrupted you.
No, I just think it's one of those. I can't remember who it was said it the other day that whenever we play on the BBC, we seem to win, and when we're on ITV, we struggle. So I believe we're on the BBC tomorrow, so we should be okay. Look, I think we'll do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get beat tomorrow. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 for England, but I could quite easily see it the other way around.
3-0 Switzerland, and Eze's holding a Tottenham shirt on Tuesday.
Well, I take that, to be honest with you.
Blimey. Yeah,
Mark
I
Barnes
just
and
think that, you know, despite us having very good players, I don't think we've got a good team.
No.
And I think that Switzerland have got perhaps lesser players in name, right? But they've got a better team.
Yeah.
Because they know how to ping the ball about, they know how to hold the ball, they know how to delay progression, they know how to combine, and I think that they've got a good look, right. Talk about their team. You've got Sommer in goal. Right? He's 35 or whatever, he's 36, whatever he is, but he's experienced. He knows what he's doing. And he wouldn't be there for so long if he was that bad. So he's not bad. You've got
Xhaka's the only one I know from Switzerland.
Well, you've got Akanji from Man City.
Oh,
he's in the defence.
To be honest, I haven't watched Switzerland the whole tournament.
It's one of those that when you look at teams that we don't always think of, you're like, well, I don't know anybody that plays for him. And then when you actually start going through the teams, you're like, oh yeah, he plays for City, or he played, and you just don't think of it like that. But Switzerland have got some good players. You know, they're not.
They do. They got I think his name's Freuler, something like that, who I think played. Plays Italy, somewhere around there. Yeah. So you've got these players that have got their own experience, and in their own right, they are deserving to be playing World Cups and Euros, and and they do have a very good team because they know their place, they know what they have to do, and I don't think we know what we have to do because it was just a bit up in the air. It's a bit. The
thing is with Switzerland, this is their final, isn't it? This is their big game. They've got nothing to lose. Nobody's expecting them to win, so they could come out and kickers.
I was going to say,
I mean, I agree. And it's all mentality as well. That's the psychology of it all plays a big part.
Yeah.
I just think that Switzerland. I want England to go through, obviously, because of emotion and because of being English and that. But I think that Switzerland have just got a better team. Regardless of names, individual names, I just think that their plan, it just makes more sense. But in one game, anything can happen. We could spank them 5-0. You know what I mean? It just depends on the day. It's moments. But I think Switzerland will win because they've got a better team. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I can't actually remember.
Go on, Mark. Go on.
I can't actually remember Switzerland. Like, can anyone here ever remember Switzerland being in the semi-final of a
they've not
World
made
Cup or a Euros?
But this team's been together a long time. They've been together a long time. They know each other. Yeah.
But didn't they play World Cups quarterfinals against Croatia or something? They did actually. Arnautovic was very good, and they had another striker who doesn't play for them anymore. I can't remember his name. And they did the business. I mean, they almost went through. I can't remember if they went through or not, but they gave everybody a run for their money. And I think they were 3-0 down or something. And they came back.
Right.
It's not going to be an easy game.
Right. It's not an easy game.
No, definitely not.
But we've had luck in this competition. The first game, we got a deflected goal when Bellingham runs into the box, heads it in. Second game, ball gets deflected into Kane's path and he scores. Third game, we get that wonder goal overhead kick from Bellingham right on the knock-ins, right?
Desperation, that was.
How much luck do England need? But we may have got another piece of luck. Chris, how do you think Switzerland are going to fare without Granit Xhaka playing?
Is he not playing?
No.
Is he was he suspended or injured?
I don't know, but the word is, I mean, I didn't source it. I should have actually forgot to. I sourced everything else. I forgot it. Apparently he's not playing.
Just give me a minute, please.
Yeah, okay. You have a look. So on that
makes a big difference.
On that, Soren. I mean, he's been a big player for them so far.
Yeah.
He has played well. I mean, I know he made mistakes which were lovely against us when we played Arsenal a few times, and he got sent off and that, didn't he, against us and things like that. But how much of a big miss do you think he will be?
I think he's a big miss. I think he's a big miss because, look, obviously he's one of them from down the road, so we don't really like him. But,
he's not there anymore, though, is he?
Well, no, but he's still, in the back.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Think about it, innit? The player that seemed to foul about 50 times and still never got a yellow card. Look, he's a big miss for him if he's not playing. He really is, because he's kind of like he's like their rock to me. He's the one that a lot of stuff goes through, or he breaks a lot of play up, and he's he's a footballer, you know, and he knows what he's doing. He'll commit those fouls, and if he's not playing, I think that is a big. But it's like we've said. The thing is with Switzerland, they're not the best team in the world, but they are a team that plays as a team. It's not a, you know, like that's the problem with England at the moment. When you look at us, we're a team of individuals. We're not a team, and that's where we could come unstuck tomorrow. And if he's not playing, I think it doesn't make it an easier game, but it gives us a better chance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Mark, what do you think with Zach?
Well, yeah, it's like before Chris mentioned that other player that plays for Man City. He was like, I knew he played for Switzerland, and he was the only one I knew in their team, to be honest. You know, I mean, they have got, obviously they got a good team, rest won't be in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
But it's true what you said, Soren. They know how they're playing, and they've got a plan, and we just don't seem to have a plan. We just seem to run around like headless chickens.
Yeah, we're disjointed and lack cohesion all across the field, don't we? And Guehi has been our best player, and he's not playing, so he's a big miss for us as well. Chris, did you check whether I was right or wrong?
I just had to change the light bulb. My daughter's bedroom, so
I'm pretty sure. If I'm mistaken, I apologise, beforehand. But I'm pretty sure Granit Xhaka's not playing tomorrow. I'm not sure why. So it's either got to be an injury or if he's got 2 yellow cards, isn't it?
But has that been confirmed?
I'm going to say sure. I can't find it. So
okay, so I've got here update.
Go on. We've got time.
Right, feelings effect. Okay, I don't know. He's fit, and I'm counting on him. Yakin told press conference on Friday. Now, so that's today. So he seems to be playing, according to this information.
He might have had a little knock then.
He might have had an injury then, and he's.
He might have had a little knock.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fair enough. You know, I mean, this Swiss midfield are going to be an issue. I think this is probably why Southgate might tempt it to play with a back five to try and. Well, there's ways of getting around it. You either go bypass a midfield with your wing backs, didn't you, or you hit long balls forward now and again, just go over the top of them. So
it's probably another one of those games that's going to be won and lost in midfield, isn't it?
Yeah, most are, aren't they? But most are won or lost in midfield. But that's not always the case. But majority are, aren't they? Right, you guys are going to have to help me out on this one because, I didn't watch the Spain game. So. Chris says you've got 1 foot in the Spain camp. Your take on the Spain game?
I think that I didn't watch the extra time. I didn't watch it. I had something to do. But the game, like the actual 90 minutes, I think it was a pretty much game of two halves. I mean, the first half, Germany could have. Not exactly. I've got bad memory, but. I think either could have scored during the game. I think that Germany came alive with their substitutions, and they made total sense to what they had to do, and rightly so. They got the draw right on 89 minutes. But then De La Fuente, who I don't like at all. I think he's another yes man. He's been put there to spite Luis Enrique, the former boss. He took your two most prominent players off. So
it was the captain. The captain was one of them. Is that right?
And then Morata was taken off later on. But that's correct. And then Rodri became captain. I just didn't understand why. And surfing on X, surfing on all the platforms, no one can understand why you're taking off your two. Now, unless they were struggling like physically, or he just needed something different. Okay, I understand that. It's a good concept. Change something up if it's not working. But what you got on the bench is not better than, you know what I mean, than Nico and Lamine. So it was strange. And then I mean, the what do you call it? Extra time. I didn't watch it that much. I think there was a clear penalty towards Germany that hit Cucurella's hand. That's what social media was saying. I don't know. I didn't see it. It wasn't. Okay, fine.
Well, it was one of those. his arm was kind of slightly out, but slightly back.
Yeah.
Had it been 6 months ago, it would have been given as handball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was shouting for a penalty, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I saw a clip of it on X where the ball, the shot was taken. It went to the hand. So what I understand, Soren, is that it's more a case of ball to hand than hand to ball. Yeah. Okay. Well, fine. And then for the goal, brilliant, brilliant cross from the left flank into the box, and very, very good header, very powerful, very, defining header by Mikel Merino, which is a pretty decent player, and I mean, it could have gone either way, in my opinion. I just thought that Spain taking off their two most prominent players seemed quite like they dug themselves a hole. They dug themselves a hole with that because the output wasn't there. And they brought Ferran Torres on, which he plays Barcelona now. I just, there's something about him. His stats say something different, but there's something about him that doesn't get me, doesn't get me fired up. But yeah, all in all, it could have gone either way. I do like Fulkrug. I do like him. He's very your typical number 9 target man, and. We hit the post as well. I don't know whether that was offside. I think it was. But either way, it could have gone either way, and Spain came out victorious. I mean, if Germany went through, I wouldn't have anything to say negatively about it because they would have deserved it as well.
So, Soren, your take on the game?
Yeah, I think it really was a game of two halves in a sense that, both Spain's goals were absolutely brilliantly taken. Dani Olmo's goal was absolutely superb. Germany should have won it. They had a lot of very, very good chances. They just weren't clinical enough. It's not the best Germany team that we've seen for a long time. And you kind of watched it. I think the one thing I took from it, Spain did look vulnerable. They didn't look the dominant team that we've seen so far. And I think that will kind of give every other team that's going to play them a little bit of hope in the sense of they can get at them now.
Well, I think they play the winner of Turkey-Holland.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to say anything, you look at it and you think, well...
No?
Spain. No, sorry. Spain play the winners of Portugal-France.
Yeah, it's the game that's on now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Of course, yeah.
And it was a disappointment. The penalty, it's one of those that if it's for your team and you're wanting to score, you want a penalty. If you're Spain, nobody, it's not a penalty. Yeah. And the problem is they keep changing the rules all the time. Look, if we go back 10 years, it's never a penalty. It's no way is it a penalty. Today,
because it's hand to ball, isn't it? It's ball to hand.
Yeah, today it's like, well, nobody knows anymore. Nobody knows what the bloody rules are.
6 months ago, it would have been a penalty.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at that one against us and against Liverpool. How the hell is that a penalty?
Yeah.
And then you look at it today and you say, well, how is that not a penalty? But the rules are always changing and nobody knows what they are. But look, I think on the actual game, it was a great game to watch. Germany could have easily won it. Spain looked vulnerable, but you can't say they don't deserve to go through. So I'm gutted that Germany are out, but I also did predict Spain would probably win it. So, it's a thing. But, I tell you one thing before we move off Germany. It's such a shame somebody like Tottenham didn't come in for Toni Kroos. Now he's retiring, because one season with him as a substitute coming on, that would give us a little bit of a mentality, because he knows how to play against that block. He can put a pass through, and maybe he would just be one of those players that could come on for the last 15, 20 minutes and create a couple of chances for us, because he is such a good footballer.
Yeah, it'd have to be that. You could say the same about Modric as well. But the thing is, it's whether they could. I mean, the Premier League's a tough.
Well, I know it is, but the thing is, he could play in Europe. He could play in the cups. it's just one of those that he's retiring. That's probably his last game, and it's a shame because he is a fantastic footballer with a fantastic footballing head.
Mark, your take on Spain, Germany? What you see of the game?
But it was a fantastic game. Like the first half was quite even, I thought. Like Spain started off on fire. Like Spain was all over Germany for the first 10 minutes or so. Then Germany always grind. They grind and grind and grind and grind. And then Spain took the lead just after half time, like 50 minutes or so, whenever it was. And then, well, I had, what was it on ITV? Yeah, it was on ITV. I believe it was on ITV. They threw up a stat from the commentary box after about 75, 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Since Spain had scored, Germany had 7 shots on goal to Spain's none. To Spain's none. And I was like, it's like Germany. Well, they always have been. All right, this isn't the best German team I've ever seen.
No,
but they're just a machine. They just know how to grind and grind. And to be honest, it's like Chris said, it could have gone either way. I mean, and to be honest, at the end, during extra time, I thought that Germany were a better team. Like, because Spain didn't really create anything. They literally created nothing.
But they scored.
Yeah, but they scored right at the end. Germany had all the chances. Yeah. But in the end,
how many times have we seen that where got a dominant team and then the other team just come? But that's the quality of Spain. We know they've got a quality team where, yes, they're under the cosh, and it just takes one damn good
chance,
brilliant header, and you've won the game.
Well, to be honest, I was thinking watching that game, that should have been the final. That was deserved of the final.
Yeah.
Because undoubtedly them two teams so far, them two teams were by far the best two teams in it. And that game would have graced the final.
I'm not having that, Mark. I was a big fan of watching Georgia. Romania weren't bad either. But overall, Spain and Germany have been the best two teams in it, even though the Germans weren't fancy at the start of it, because it's like we've all said, Germany, they aren't a team they used to be. But it's like I said, during extra time, I honestly thought Germany were going to win. And at the end of the game, it's the first time ever I actually feel sorry for Germany. I mean, back in the 90s and that, I used to despise them, because whenever England played them, they always lost on penalties. Because you guarantee England, well, it was the World Cup, Italia 90 and Euro 96. Euro 96. Like, you guarantee we get the semi-final, Germany were there waiting. And and I can remember thinking, well, here we go.
The one where we scored, it was about 6 foot over the line and it still wasn't given.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think that was
2010. Was that 2010 in the World Cup?
Yeah, that was that Frank Lampard? That was Lampard.
Lampard,
And was it?
Won it?
Yeah, and Euro 96 in the extra time in the Germany game, they brought in something for only a year or two. It was like the golden goal. Like if you scored, then that would have put you through. And Gaza was like that, from like getting his toe off the end.
Euro 96, Mark, Spain had a goal disallowed, and I don't know what it was disallowed for in that Euro 96, but I don't know if many people remember it. It was baffling, the baffling decision by the referee. Okay.
England beat Spain, didn't they, in Euro 96? They beat them on penalties. Yeah, they beat them on penalties.
Stuart Pearce actually scored a penalty, and he sort of did his normal psycho routine after scoring because he'd missed one.
Well, they said today that Spain haven't won a penalty shootout. Is it since 1970 or something like that?
Yeah, they said that. It was
because they won the competition, didn't they? But as in, they've only won once on a penalty shootout or something.
Since 1972.
It was against. I think it was against Italy I think in the World Cup, I think it was, and then it was against Portugal in the Euros or something like that.
Right.
There have been two famous. I can't remember exactly the teams, and I can't remember exactly what order the competitions were in. I can't, but I think yeah, they were very outstanding kind of events over here in Spain. And I think Cesc Fabregas, who I think back then, not sure whether he played for Arsenal or Barcelona, can't remember the actual years, but he was like the hero because he slotted the fifth penalty or the fourth, whatever it was, to take us through. And then the other one, I think it was against Portugal, because I think everyone was thinking, "Oh my God, here we go again." But if we've done it against Italy, we can do it against Portugal. It's no problem. And I think I think it was Euros and World Cup, or the other way around, something like that. But yeah, big up, Mark. Thanks for being here, man. Thank you. And
I think no one's lost more penalty shootouts than England and Holland. Holland have lost a few as well. So yeah, it's just one of those things.
I wouldn't know. I know that in the 2002 World Cup, the Dutch played Brazil, and I think they went out on penalties. Yeah. That was when Brazil actually won it in 2002, and I think it was actually in Germany. And they had a great team. I mean, they had all the stars, like your Kluivert, your Bergkamp was still playing. You had your Davids, all these kind of Philippe Cocu. Seedorf, yeah. They had Frank de Boer. They had all these kind of players that were very, very good, and going out on penalties against Brazil. Well, it just goes to show that you get beaten by the future winners of the competition, and rightly so. I think Brazil were very good.
I always remember that crossfield ball by Frank de Boer to Bergkamp when he scored against Argentina. It was like a 40-yard.
That was 98 in Marseille.
That crossfield ball. I mean, like, brilliant. What?
I mean, when you look at Holland, they've had some bloody good players, haven't they?
Yeah. Can you remember Van Basten against England?
Oh,
yeah.
What a goal!
When they won the Euros with Van Basten.
That when
he got that volley in the air, didn't he?
The Arsenal lad scored. What was his name? Buddy.
Bergkamp?
No, the Arsenal lad played for England.
Oh, Adams?
No.
When are you talking about? Sorry,
against Holland won it, where the Arsenal lad scored. I can't think of his bloody name.
You're talking about, but the Dutch won it in '88.
Lee Dixon. He played for England, didn't he?
Was it Dixon? Yeah, he scored a pretty damn good goal against. Anyway, move on. Rather keep puzzled.
Okay. I don't suppose many of us have had much to do with this, but the Copa America's been going on and the quarterfinals have been going on, right? Argentina played their quarter.
Yeah, penalty shootout.
Hold them. The only player I know on the Ecuador side is Hincapié is the only one I know. I think he's Ecuadorian. I don't even know if he played, to be honest with you. And Argentina, obviously, got Lo Celso and Romero, who's been getting rave reports out there in this Copa America. Argentina won 4-2 on penalties and go for the semi-final. The other quarter-final we are interested in, because Bentancur plays, he come and scored the fifth goal when they beat. I forget who they beat the other day now, actually. But they now face Uruguay, now face Brazil. I don't know how good this Brazil side is. I still think that is in a rebuilding process as well. And I don't know how good Uruguay are. I know they're very good defensively. Good defensively. So we'll see. Bentancur, whether they're coming home, because on that subject, I believe that it's been over a month now, and I believe our Spurs players are back in training tomorrow, which seems an odd day, if not definitely tomorrow by what's name, because it's been over a month. They've had their holidays. So it does seem odd for them to come back in training. That's those that are available, of course. So, yeah. So now then, we go to the big yawn, right? Transfer news, incoming and outgoings. There are lots of rumours out there, but I mean there are. Lastly, I want to talk about strikers, because this is where I'm really. I mean, I'm confused about this, to be honest with you. But we have been linked with Desiree Guehi from Rennes, I've watched him on the video. Have you guys seen him at all? Have you watched him? I did post videos for people to look at. Anyone want to go first on this? Give me an opinion on this player, and I'll give you mine last.
I think that, and I was saying it yesterday. I was on live. I was on Digi Spurs,
Okay.
and we talked about Guehi, and I said, look, I want my Spurs back, like, to get you off your seat. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
First and foremost, I want to see entertaining football, and I've always loved Spurs from being that kind of team, at least what I've seen. And talking about Guehi, I said last night, look, if I were blind and someone described what Guehi does, he's tricky with the ball. He goes in and out. He's 2-footed. He can play 10. He can play on either flank. He scores goal. He provides goal. His combination play is very good. If I were blind and I heard that, I'd say, right, where's the problem? Go and sign him. You know what I mean? And if we're going to play Football Manager, and he's great, he's great. Now, once he's in a Spurs shirt, he has to deliver. And there's always question marks about, but he's coming from the French league. But our history, and I don't care about history, because just because Ndombele went badly, right, it doesn't mean that Guehi's going to go. I mean, what are they, Siamese twins? I don't think that football works like that. At least in my head. We've had players that have come from, I don't know, lesser leagues or what. We signed Bergvall from Sweden, and everyone's raving about Bergvall, how he's going to be great, and you can't have your cake and eat it. You have to leave a bit of some margin. So because they're independent players, absolutely nothing to do with Ndombele whatsoever. Let's leave the stigma from the French league, French signings. Let's leave it to one side, because it bears no resemblance from one to the other. But I would sign him, because there's one thing that here in Spain, at least, and UEFA is very concerned about, even from grassroots, is that kids don't play outside anymore, right? And the one-on-ones, everybody wants to dribble. Everybody wants to score and everybody wants to dribble. No one's dribbling anymore. No one's taking their man on, right? So one-on-ones here in Spain is very, very talked about. And because they want to implement that more in training from younger ages, the one-on-one is like a dead kind of resource. It's kind of like a dead thing to do. This guy can take you on, right? And if we've been complaining, well, I have at least, and probably some others as well. You get Decky on the right, and what does Decky do? Cut back and either passes or crosses. Or this guy can do it with both feet, and he can get to the byline, and he can he can cross, low cross, high cross, whatever you need. So he's a generator of play, either on the flank or in the middle. So I would scoop him up. I don't care if it's 40-50, because that he's so young, he's got such a high ceiling that at the end of the day translates into being a very good quality, cheap signing. You see. So
Chris, do you just think it's not Desiree Guehi? It's the fact that we're cursed with signing French players who've got an N at the beginning of their Christian name, like Ndombele, Nkudu, NG, right? Do you think we're cursed with
that? I understand that, but the guy, it's not his fault, is it? I mean, he's got the quality. He's got a price tag on him. I don't know exactly what it's 30, 35. I'm not sure. But if you want to progress, what difference does his name make? What difference does his procedence make? That's a stigma. That's something in your head. And in the fans, I understand it. But it makes no resemblance on what he can provide for the team. Because this is quality.
The thing I look at is, if you're that young and you're getting into a French team, you ain't bad player. You're not a bad player. There's two kids at the tournament now. There's the Spanish lad. Both of them they're playing out the skins. And the way I look at it for Tottenham, and I know a lot of the fans are split on this, but we've just signed Archie Gray. That's this French lad is another young prospect that we need to get through the door. And yes, it's not going to improve us now, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to take him long. He's not one that will need a long time to settle in this team if we got him through the door, because he's got so much confidence, and playing for a team like France, who's got some damn good players, you know, they don't need to pick these youngsters. They've got enough players to pick from, and if he's good enough to get in that French team as a starter, he's bloody good enough to get in the Tottenham team. That's the way I look at it.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yep.
I sent the video out to loads of people, posted in loads of groups that I'm affiliated with. Did you have you seen the kid?
I haven't seen the video you've sent, but I mean, I said a couple of days ago on, I think it was on this show, that, you know, there was a young French lad and a young Spanish lad that were playing well. And, you know, it's the first I've seen of him is in this tournament. But I tell you what, if we went and signed him, I'd be happy. I bloody would.
He's got a brother who's a defender. Well, Mark, have you seen him? Sorry, I meant to go to you.
No, I have no, because I got stung when we signed Soldado. I watched a YouTube video of him, and he was banging in goals from all over the show.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize watching that he played in the front too in Spain, and like he come over here and we stuck him up front on his own.
Yeah, and then didn't pass to him.
No, and so that sort of went a bit pear-shaped. But like, you know, I mean, the thing is with the Tottenham signings, I want someone that's going to make me think, yes, we got him, like Klinsmann did when we signed him. You know, because Klinsmann was top of the world when we signed him. I think he was the last one that I actually thought, yeah, we got a good player there.
But you could look at it the other way, Mark, and say, if you sign these young kids, they've got nothing to lose if they get on the pitch. And if they're good enough, then they could actually make you sit up and watch more than, you know, if you sign these superstars and you're thinking, right, this is it, you know, he's going to score us 20, 30 goals, and you sit and watch him and you think, well, he ain't doing it. But then you get these young kids on it, and all of a sudden it's like, I mean, it's like Udogie. Look, we kind of knew he was good because of what was said before, but nobody realised he was probably going to be as good as he was. And you sit and watch them and you think, bloody hell, you know,
on the flip side of that, they could turn out like Jack Clark.
Well, they could do, but, you know, I mean, the thing is...
Or the other one that we're trying to bin off.
Yeah, but we've just said, you know, these kids that are 18 years old and they're playing for the French national team in Europe, and they're starting for the team. Yeah. It's not like they're on for 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the game. There is a big difference between that and Jack Clark.
And Jed Spence. Jed Spence was the other one.
We were in for Gift Orban, guys. I know he got to move somewhere. I forget. Chris will probably know what club he went to. I forget. But I don't know if he's
at Lyon. He's at Lyon now.
And he hasn't been getting any rave reviews. So, like, you can
but Lyon haven't been you know, above par as they were like many years ago when they dominated. And that, I mean, they've had a change of manager. They've got another manager in. They're a bit, you know, topsy-turvy kind of thing. They're on a bit of a roller coaster ride of late. So I don't know whether it's actually down to him, whether it's down to, you know, the things that are going on in the club. But you know, I just think links are links, right? Let's just and so I feel like it did, yeah. But then I think that and I'm convinced that with us having Ange as a manager, right, the aura of the inner workings has kind of changed, and I'm not privy to it. I don't know, but I just get that feeling that if there's anybody that's going to turn Daniel's head, it's a straight talking, logical kind of philosophical guy like Ange, and that's just my opinion. And when you get someone in like Langer, or Johan Langer, who has been around, you know, for quite a bit, and he knows what he's talking about, and those two with Paratici, if you want, with Munn, whatever they're doing. But if you let the football side of things take their course with those that know about the game, you're going to get players like Archie Gray, for example, that everyone said, yeah, but I want experience. Yeah, he's great, and he was great for Leeds, but I want experience. Yeah, but have you seen this guy play? I mean, this guy has football heritage. Right, his family were ballers. His brother's a baller. He's been breathing football since he was born. Sorry,
Frank Gray, Eddie Gray.
Yes, there you go. So whenever you're in right? And take, for example, sorry, you've got loads of bottles. I don't know whether that's your actual warehouse or it's just a makeshift thing.
This is
it's your house, right? So, for example, if you've got a family member, like your children, whatever, it's just an example, that is breathe. I hope they don't breathe alcohol in. But what I'm saying is that they breathe the whole thing that you're into. They're going to learn about where spirits come from, where whiskey comes, do you know what I mean? And this guy, Archie Gray, doesn't look like an 18-year-old. I was saying it last night. You've got chronological age and relative age. Chronological age is what it says on his passport. Relative age is what he does on the pitch. Because he's got it all up here. And it's because he's hearing all of these things, terminology. He's probably seeing his dad, his granddad, whoever these people are. He's been nurtured football from day dot, right? And not everybody has that. And this guy is a complete baller. And I see him starting at 18 in our starting 11 because he's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so Guehi, I don't know his heritage. I don't know anything, but he's the kind of player that if he goes down the left wing and right wing or whatever, he's going to get you off your seat, right? And this is the kind of thing that I think that Ange and Langer are trying to do. They're trying to get in players that have a high ceiling, but are a reality kind of at the moment. And of course, they have to fit in with the identity or the vision that the manager has.
My theory with Ange's football philosophy is the fact that I did a post on this, like a few hundred words long or whatever it was. My theory is he likes to get players in young. I mean, otherwise you can be in a situation trying to teach old dog new tricks, and you might get a bit of resistance from players. And you always hear it, don't you, in different walks of life. Get them in like young, train them up while they're young, train them up while they're young. And I think he's got that sort of a philosophy. My issue, I watched the video, and when I look at videos and I want to watch a player, I know they're going to show them in a good light. So when they're forwards like that, I have different I adapt my thinking to whether they're a defender or an attacker, obviously. But when they're an attacker, I look for players with vision who move the ball quickly, can make things happen. This kid's got it all, right? But we had the issue where fans were complaining justifiably with Brennan Johnson, who I wasn't keen on when we brought him in. He's still not oven ready. He's getting there. He's got potential. He's got a high ceiling. I want him to prove me wrong, like I do every player that comes at the club that I'm not sure about or don't even like, right? My issue is goals, guys. Where are we going to get 90 goals from? Arsenal finished second with 90 goals. It's taken an average of 82 to win the league since 1992 when the league was inaugurated. And since then, the bar was raised to about 86 because when Man City have won 7 out of the last 10, and that's gone up. If you've got 2 wingers that give you 5 goals each on the left, same on the right, that's 20. If you've got a Sonny in the middle, gets you 25, that's 45. Where's the other 45 going to come from? If we bring a winger in, all right, if this kid's really that good, right, when they've done the data, apart from what I've seen, by all means, if Anne wants him, get him in. But this is my issue is goals with this team. It really is. Because we've got to look to challenge for league. As much, I mean, I want the UEFA League Cup next year. That's my one trophy I want, right? But
it would be nice.
We can win a cup. That's not. You can win a cup
for any cup. Any cup would be a bonus.
We won the FA Cup. We can win a domestic cup. We could win the Europa League. Even with the players we've got now, we could do that. Even with the 2 young kids that come in, and both Bergvall and Gray, they're not small. They're both 6'2". They could look after themselves, right? They've got stature, right? So, and he can tackle like hell. And I actually see Gray as a threat to Basuma out of a choice. I really do, because he's got that bit of grit and oomph to his game. But we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah. So it's goals, guys. All right. So let's go around you and see if you take him. And I'm moving. So you take Guehi, Chris?
Definitely. I mean, yep. Go on.
Sorry,
I think it's your go.
Definitely. Not a shadow of a doubt.
Mark, I get if you ain't seen that much, you're not sure anyway. So.
No. Well, Chris and Soren have won me round. I'll say yes.
Okay then. All right. Yeah, no, I'll go with them. Yes, he's got the skills, right? He's got it, right? From what I've seen. So it's just got you hope that if he's going to come in for that money, I know he's a kid. All right. I suppose it seems to be a bit of a standard money for a good kid nowadays, about 30 mil. It used to be about 10. It seems to have gone up rapidly in a short period of time. Guys, Pedro Neto's back on the scene. Chris, Tell me about it.
No.
Not okay.
No. Sorry. I just think that with his injury record and for what we're going to have to pay for him, there are other obvious opportunities or unearthed gems that you could get two for the price of one. And I just don't like, I know that sounds cheap, but it's logical as well. So why are you going to spend 50 million on, or whatever it is, for Neto, when you look at his injury record, and he's not just had, I don't know, an ACL and that's it. Unfortunately, he's had knee, he's had ankle, he's had ligaments, he's had, you know what I mean? So he's had different injuries, and some have been for a quite substantial period of time. And yes, of course, he can come back from all of them and, you know, not have another injury for the rest of his career, of course. But he's, for me, it's like a 65-35. 65% he's going to get injured again over, you know, with either one of these injuries at some point, rather than not. So I wouldn't, you know, I'm not saying he's a bad footballer. I'm not going on that. I'm going on, would I take him? And I would say no, because of this injury record, not because of anything else.
Neto, Soren?
No.
He has scored 2 goals in 20 games. Phenomenal strike rate.
So was Richard.
2 in 20. Look, he's got 2 more than me.
If you're gonna lay down 40-50 million on him, I'd rather see 40 or 50 million going towards Nico Williams. I mean, I don't think we'll get him, but I'd rather see us going for Nico Williams than.
He's not bad. He's all right.
Look,
yeah, it's not happening.
He's another young lad, and you just see him getting better and better. But I've said it for quite a while now, Nico Williams. To me, if we're gonna, if say we got Guehi in and we've got Archie Gray in, and it kind of looks like we're probably not going to get Calafiore in either. The 2 players that I would love to see come in, which would instantly change our team, and again, I don't think doesn't look like we'll get either now, but is Eze and Nico Williams, and I think it instantly changes our team because you if you look at the way with defense, you know, Dragason's looked immense. Again, Romero for Argentina's looking immense. He's raised his game now. You know, he's got competition in his spot now. We've got Van der Ven. Yes, we kind of need another left-sided player. But to me, you know, I don't think we're going to get a striker in. I think we're going to either get another winger or another midfielder. So, to me,
we'll come to striker later. We will go through.
To me, Mark, we don't go for Neto.
Mark, Neto.
Well, with his injury record and our medical staff, the poor man's going to be in a wheelchair. The poor man's going to be in a wheelchair in about 6 months. He's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if he was injury free, then it'd be a no-brainer, I think. But,
it's a risk for anyone coming in with our medical record.
Well, I hope the Archie Gray signing has killed off any Conor Gallagher rumours.
I think it has now.
I
haven't heard his name mentioned for months.
There's been rumours that we're interested at Jacob Ramsey at Villa. I'll get your opinions on a minute. I think part of the rumours are the fact that Johan Lange, our director of football, come from Villa. Milo Jedinik was in charge of loans there, and he was also a coach there at Villa. And Frederick Leff, who some of you might not know, but I'll give you a bit more information. He came from Villa as well, and he's in charge of strategy. What strategy? I don't know exactly. He's in charge of strategy. And so as we've took 3 of their staff, I'm not surprised when we get linked with some of their players. But Chris, start with you again. Jacob Ramsey, would you take him?
To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of him. But what I was going to say regarding, you know, transfers in general, when we were just touching on the Guehi bit, is they've obviously and what you were saying about the goals, you need the goals coming from wide and, you know, etc. And you're doing your additions, your sums and that. I obviously think that if he's linked and if he's a real link, it's not just a media link, right? You know, your press. They obviously have identified what kind of player they want. And Guehi is obviously a guy that they need because they want to play a certain type of football, which we know what it is. And if they've identified Guehi and another 2 or 3, right, of similar traits, you've got to get them in. Now, I don't understand. I don't know enough about Jacob Ramsey to opine. But I do have information regarding Nico Williams, so we can do that after. We can do that now. That's up to you.
We can do that. We'll go Nico would be. So, sorry, then Jacob Ramsey. Do you know anything about him?
Again, I'm probably the same. Don't know a lot about him, but from what little bits I have seen, he's looked all right. And you kind of think if we are linked, then that's, there's a reason we are linked to him. Like Chris has just said, it seems to me we're going after those young, energetic type players that are, I want to say, fearless. That they've got the whole career and they want to show what they can do. And to me, that's Ange's kind of the manager that is going to let them play. And if you look at these younger lads that we're signing, they are players that want to play football. They don't want to necessarily play, like the Conte style, things like that. They want to express themselves. They want to go forward. They want to attack. They want to run. They want to play. And that's it. Everybody that we're kind of getting linked to in the younger people seem to fit that sort of, that system. And that's why I think Guehi would be. We've gone from shopping at Aldi to shopping at Lidl to shopping at Netto, and they went bust. But yeah, I mean, I kind of think we're going to get linked to a lot of these players now. The problem is, with the likes of Guehi and things like that, they're in the shopping window now, aren't they? There's you kind of see him going to a PSG or something like that. But let's hope. But look, if we sign him, it's going to be a big meltdown by the Tottenham fans once again, and there's going to be some brilliant entertainment on these YouTube channels. How negative it is because we've signed another youngster and not a regular player.
Okay, all right. Well, before we move on to Nico Williams and wingers, because there's so many good wingers out there, there's loads of them out there, right? There's a surplus of them, but there seems to be a dearth of strikers. Morgan Gibbs-White, Chris, I like this player. I mean, I'm not. I've watched the video of Ramsey. Just don't look nothing special to me. So I just think our guys have seen him in a better light than I have. But right. Morgan Gibbs-White.
Yeah, listen, there's a before and an after for me for Morgan Gibbs-White, because I saw him under Steve Cooper, the same as I saw Brennan, and they played a different type of football. Now, if you're looking at Morgan Gibbs-White under Nuno, yeah, he's the same player, but he's used in a different way. So I like the Morgan Gibbs-White under Steve Cooper, because they tried to play like more open. That's how Steve Cooper plays, as far as I could see. In his teams, he likes to play open, football, like attractive kind of football. So the Morgan Gibbs-White of the Steve Cooper era is different to the Nuno era, and I think that he's a good player. I mean, I'm not saying no, but it depends on how you how you deploy him. Sorry. So has he got the quality? Yeah. Has he got the willpower to play under Ange? If that's the case, I don't see any wrong in bringing him in. But if he's been identified, it's for, as I said before, if he's been identified as a player that can work under what Ange wants, I've got nothing against it.
Do you think, as I do, that if Morgan Gibbs-White comes in, or when we talk about other midfielders in a minute, if he comes in, that will then determine that Archie Gray plays as the right wing back, inverted fullback, or right back? And if we don't bring him in, Gray, because I see Gray as a midfielder. I do see him as box to box, more box to box. That's what I see. So, and I'm waiting to see what happens with the Emerson role, because he goes, if we bring in a right back, then obviously, Gray's playing in midfield, right? And barring an emergency, and he's got to sit in there because it necessitates him playing there because we've got injury suspensions, blah, blah, blah. So that's it. Soren, Morgan Gibbs-White?
Yeah, I mean, I'd take him. I think he's a good little player. We've seen him under two different systems, and he's looked all right. He kind of seems to fit the profile that Ange would want. And look, I mean, I'm looking at it slightly different to a lot of the fans out there, and you're thinking, these young players we're signing, if these are Ange's choices, that tells us that we are backing the manager as a long-term prospect, because we're bringing in players that might not necessarily be ready this season coming, but another season under their belt playing the system that Ange wants, as long as he can get past, everybody keeps talking about December and he's getting sacked in December. We'll soon see. But if these players are anything to do with Ange for his system, it kind of tells us it's a long-term plan. And, as a football fan that's getting on, it's not the end of the world for me. I want to see some exciting football. And I kind of see where Ange is going. And these young kids, to me, could bring that exciting football. But it might not be this season coming. It might be next season. But, all good things are worth waiting for. Unfortunately, we've had too long away. That's the only problem.
I was going to say, flipping, how much longer we got to wait? Jesus. It's an ongoing project, this is.
Yeah, but if the football's terrible, we can always watch the meltdown from the fans, can't we? So
No, honestly, this is an ongoing project.
Yeah, they always are, though, Mark.
Project with no end goal.
Yeah.
Success is not final, is it? Even if you
true.
get success, it's not final. You keep going,
Yeah.
you keep wanting to improve all aspects of the club at all levels of your football academies, etc. So
Yeah.
you've still got to keep going. But yes, we Spurs fans have got no patience, and it's understandable. We know that, but we can't wave a magic wand. So we are where we are. The squad has improved, right, with the players we got. We don't look. This is why. These 6 friendlies coming up, the first one's the 17th of this month, right, are going to be very telling. And we've got 11 days now, right, till the first one. And I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 signings in them 11 days that are on our list all throughout the season. Our recruitment team won't be sitting on their butts doing nothing. They would have been compiling lists and looking at players all season long. The thing when Guehi and all these other players come on late on the scene, you're thinking, why are we linked with these players now? If they're opportunists, I get it, but we should already have our lists when they're raring to go, when the transfer window opened, even though it should have opened, in my opinion, the day the season ends, not the same day as the Euro starts. That's clever planning by the Premier League. But so my belief is that we have got players lined up. Now I can. Well, you never know. We might end up getting a left field signing, which wouldn't surprise me. Paratici might be working his magic in Italy somewhere. But yeah, so we'll move on to
allowed in Italy.
Yeah, he is. I
Get
think
arrested if he gets on a plane in Italy.
No, he's allowed as a consultant, and I think he's and I think he's banned.
He's just not allowed to actually be directly involved with the transfers, is he?
Yeah, but I think his band's nearly up. I'm not. Someone can.
It can't be much longer, can it? I mean, was it 18 months? So he's. Yeah. I mean,
the only thing I'll say about these transfers, like all these names, there's like the 4 or 5 names that's been brought up. None of them really get me thinking. Yeah, get him. They're all like, never really heard of them.
Yeah, but this is what we were saying earlier with the international games. You look at the England squad and you go through the players that are in there, and there are some big names in that squad, but they're not. Don't mean to say that you're gonna go out and win. You look at the Switzerland team. You've said yourself you only really knew 1 player, but it wouldn't surprise us if they go and win England tomorrow. So
that's because England are crap.
No, but the point is, I'd rather see a hungry young player come in who's got some talent, and he's going to play for the badge, rather than somebody who's on 150, 200,000 pound a week who thinks is the bee's knees and then don't put any effort in.
Yeah, I agree, Soren. I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Premier League clubs went and took, say, a player off of Georgia, Romania, or Switzerland that isn't a household or sexy name. It wouldn't surprise me, and they would do a good job.
Well, Brighton have been doing that for years, haven't they?
We've been linked with players that are not. Look, they might. I mean, Eze would be a sexy signing and a player that would get you off your feet. Dewey probably as well. we are linked with. I mean, the players we're linked with are quality players. When I've looked at them, they might not be sexy because we're all used to like having those players at Spurs, Ginola, Waddle, you know,
but I mean,
you know,
Adrian,
players like that.
But we talk about Eze. I mean, he's not starting for England.
No.
You know, so when players are saying, fans are saying we want these big names, and we're all excited about Eze, but he's not starting for England.
No, but you know damn well, you know damn well that if we signed Eze, he walks straight into the first 11 and he improves us. And he improves us immediately.
I'd love to see Eze sign for us. I'm not saying that, but you know, it's one of those that as a lot of fans, and I mean, I've done it many a times. You see a name and you think, oh yeah, he's the one for us, and it rolls and it rolls, and the more people talk about him, and then all of a sudden you sign somebody that's maybe not an Eze, but you know, I mean, look at Pap Sarr. We you know, 17-year-old kid, and he's, you know, to me, he's one of the first names that should be going on our sheet now.
Yeah.
So
and does play young players. I mean, like you say, Sarr, VDV, Udogie, right? Brennan Johnson, right? Now, I know we can criticise him for some of the youngsters that have sat on the bench, Donnelly, Mikey Moore. I like Dane Scarlett. I want to see him get some game time. I want to see if can do something, and especially Elijah Velez. We paid that money for him. Let's have a look at the 6 pre-season games, And so we've all been critical of Ange and his substitutions, right? All right, there's reasons for it. Some might be tactical, just to run a game down when we're a goal up, you know what I mean, minutes to go and things like that. And some of them haven't been given enough time. I mean, I've always been like a 15, 30-minute, 45. So if a sub comes on, he does well at 15. If you think he's good, still looking sharp in training, give him half hour. If you're not sure, unless there's someone's remarkable, you know what I mean? And then give them a half and then see how they go. It hasn't happened yet, and we hope it's going to happen. Eze, yes, he's out of all the quality players we've been linked with, he's the only one I think is probably the bit of the maverick. He's got that bit about him to go past when he's in the mood to just go past people. I mean, we gave him a goal with a free kick. He couldn't have left more space on the far post when he played him at our place, like. But so no, he is the only one. I mean, like when you talk about marquee signings, I mean, like the others are good, but on there, a player who excites, Chris, Nico Williams. You want to speak about him? Would you take it?
Yeah, and it was because I remembered because we had a comment about Philogene earlier in the chat.
Yeah, Jaden Philogene.
There's the news I'm going to give is goes hand in hand because Barcelona are or were very interested in signing Philogene from Hull City, and his either intermediary or representative or whatever, his agent was actually in Barcelona and conducted interviews with the club, and this has been backed by Hull City's CEO, which let me just see what his name is. Akun Ilikali, CEO of Hull City. It's true that Barcelona really want Philogene, but as a backup or plan B. And this was actually said by Berto Camacho, which is the representative I was talking about Philogene. So Philogene wants to play for Barcelona, but in the future, his aim now is to play for Premier League. And Barcelona's number one target is Nico Williams. So it's either Nico Williams this year or next year. Now, the reason why he would come next year to Barcelona is because this coming season, the 24-25, he wants to play in Europe with his brother, Iñaki. All right. And obviously, family reasons, that would mean he would be staying in Bilbao for another season. If not, his only choice to leave Bilbao would be Barcelona this season. So that is the news, a bit hand in hand with Philogene, and because that's come out from Philogene's representative, that Barcelona want Nico. Nico's number one. So that's all true. So yeah, but now let's see what Philogene. I mean, I'd have Philogene at Spurs because there is another one that gets you off your seat. You know, whether the final product. Sorry,
he would be cheaper. The rumours going around that Nico Williams wanted 300 grand a week.
Yeah,
I can't vouch for that. I don't know. Yeah, but he's on 200 grand a week already in Spain, and that's a hell of a lot of money for Spain.
Is
so, Yeah. He renewed until 2027, I think it is. But with his buyout clause being 58 million euros, so they've upped his wage, but they've accepted a pretty low. I mean, yeah, 58 million. 58 million is a lot of money for me, but 58 million is not exactly 100 million, 150 million, 90 million that you'd pay for others. That's pretty low.
He's got 4 years on his contract.
Sorry?
No, he's got 4 years on his contract as well. You'd have thought it would have been higher than that.
Yeah, exactly. So he renewed last year for the 20 until 27.
Yeah.
So it's either 4 or 5. I'm not sure, but he would have 4 years left starting this season. Yes, 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 27.
Have you seen much of Nico Williams?
Yeah, I see him week in, week out here in Spain. He started when I started taking notice of him. He started on the right wing. He started on the right wing and was very erratic. He was very fast, but there was like a bit of chaos in his play. Now he's more positional, but he is chaotic as well. He can create chaos with the runs, but it's obviously different playing for Bilbao. They've got a different setup than more positional play, which is Barcelona. But the thing is, or with Spurs, because if you're talking about positional play, more static, you need someone that can take someone on, which is what I was talking about with Guehi. You need players that can go to the byline, whip it in, or grounded cross, or can take someone on to beat them and to create opportunities, or whatever, either for yourself or for another teammate, for another colleague. And these kind of players are the ones that are needed. I can see Nico walking into starting 11 at Spurs. If I can see it at Barcelona, I can see it at Spurs. And for me, they're on the same level because of good motion. But those are the kind of players that you need.
Mark, have you watched Nico Williams at all? Seen anything of him apart from for Spain? He scored a nice goal, didn't he? In the roof of the net, he give the keeper the eye.
Yeah. Well, he played tonight, but earlier on, didn't he?
Yeah, I didn't see it though. I didn't watch it.
No. He like unless there's someone else in the Spanish team called Williams.
No,
he's a fantastic player.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, I don't think it's Tottenham immediately, but from what Chris said, like he wants to go to Barcelona. So I'd say, but from what you said earlier, where's Morgan Gibbs-White come from? His name suddenly crawled out of the woodwork again, because I haven't heard his name mentioned with transfers with us for weeks.
Yeah, well, because
he was about a few weeks ago.
He's one of those of interest on the back burner. It's a bit like the Archie Gray one, right? So I don't think Archie Gray, I don't know what you guys think, I don't think he was our top priority, top of our list to get people in. But I think once Brentford made a move, that stirred us into action.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened there. And I'm glad we've got him because I really like the player.
I mean, I'm under the impression with Archie Gray, we've been watching him for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But it was always one of those that he was never going to leave if Leeds came up. But as soon as Leeds didn't come up, it became thingy. But I kind of got the impression with Archie Gray that it wasn't necessarily somebody that Leeds wanted to sell. So, it was always going to be a little bit harder to buy.
I was looking at the homegrown angle as well, because if we can look into Ramsey as well, we will be looking at, we are interested. Look, there's lots of clubs interested in Morgan Gibbs-White, right? They are. He's a good player, right? So that was it. I mean, I haven't yet mentioned Edison from Atalanta. Chris likes Coop Miners there. And I haven't mentioned Fratesi has had a good season, box to box at Juve. But the thing is with them is, see, we don't know, because now we got Archie Gray in and Bergvall. If we get a right back in, that will determine where Gray is going to play most of his football. If we don't get a right back in and Emerson goes, then I can see Gray filling in as the inverted fullback. It's not so much difference from being a midfielder, really, being that inverted fullback, and he can defend and he's a good tackler. Yeah, so we're back to Gray again. But, so, yes, I mean, I would take Morgan Gibbs-White. We move on, right? We'll move on, right? Okay, so now we ain't going to take all three. Guehi in, Nico Williams in, and we'll talk about Jadon Philogene. I mean, he came from Aston Villa, he went to Hull. right? They didn't. I don't think they even wanted to sell him for Villa. He's come a bit out of the blue. It was mentioned a few months ago, but I think I watched a video of him, and I just don't do it for me. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen him. He doesn't do it for me at all.
Never heard of him.
Not when we're talking about him in the same breath as Guehi and Nico Williams. You know, we ain't even spoke about Danny Olmo. You know.
No, I mean, the thing with Philogene, what I've seen of him,
Barcelona
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, I don't know why Barcelona want him. Go on, carry on.
Well, because we haven't got a left winger, and Joao Felix is the plan B to Nico Williams, but Philogene is also there as well, dependent on the economic or Barcelona's economy, which is trying to get sorted out in the next weeks or so. But Philogene is someone that will get you off your seat as well. He does kind of tricks. He's a bit, you know, he's got flair. He's got these kind of things. Whether how he fits into a Premier League vision or under Ange's vision, maybe he does. You know, and that's not something that we're privy to. But we understand how Ange wants to play. He wants to play attacking, free-flowing football with players that can take on your man. That can, you know, if you need a trick or two, if you need flair, you've got it, which at the moment we don't have in any of our players, you know, so to speak. Like Brennan Johnson, for example, right? Wait, yeah, exactly. He's done great, you know, brilliant, whatever you want. But the same, Brennan and gives what I was saying before, in the Steve Cooper way of playing, they are more open, and he had a lot of more room to run onto ball, you know, like you know, in fast attacking transition. We don't play that. We're more static. We possess the ball a hell of a lot. And I think last year we were either the third or the fourth team with more field tilt, which is, you know, I don't know if you know anything about field tilt, but it's what you do in your opponent's half, you know, more so than in your own area, you know, or in your own half, so to speak. And you know, to be that in the first season of Ange ball or under Ange is pretty impressive when you don't have all the players that you need to do that. So I think Brennan Johnson is a victim of circumstance because he's not that one-on-one player. He's more of an open kind of attacking transition player, which is similar to Gibbs White under Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest. When I saw him playing against whoever it was, I'm like, geez, I'll get this guy in now because he's so good. But again, you go back to Nuno and he's not the same player. It's not. But I don't know. That's just the way I see it. And
okay, Soren, we'll move on to sort of number 10 class forward. So we'll start with Eze, who we all love. Do you think we're going to get him? Do you think we'll get him even if we do end up with an Nico Williams or a Guehi? Or do you think we'll pull out?
I think there's two ways to look at this. Do I want him? Yeah. Do I think we'll get him? I really don't know, is the simple answer. You kind of look at it and think it's so hard to know because with the Euros, you know, nobody knows whether these players are going to move. That's the problem. I think the downside to the fact of Kusilise is already kind of going to Bayern or gone, whichever, means that Tottenham are going to have to pay a big lump up front. Will we do that? History tells us no, but maybe we might. I don't think anybody can predict the Eze one. I mean, the thing is, not many other teams are shouting about him at the moment. You know, I mean, there's one or two that are talking. Yeah, there's the rumours. Nobody as strongly as what we seem to be. And you listen to some outlets and it's like the deal's already done. As soon as he comes home, he's signing. You listen to others and it's like, no, we're not signing him. Do I want him? Yes. You know, I don't think there's hopefully there aren't many Tottenham fans out there that don't want him. Will we get him and Nico Williams? No, not a chance.
No chance of that.
And from what Chris has just said, you know, obviously we probably won't get Nico Williams, but doesn't Guehi play on the left? Isn't he left-sided?
Both. I mean, he likes to cut in and either whip in across or shoot or combine with others, make the, you know, look for the passing behind. But he's ambidextrous. He's not ambidextrous. He's two-footed. Sorry, and he can play.
Yeah, I think he's the long term. You know, if we can get Guehi in, I think he's the replacement for Sonny on the left, which kind of probably means, you know, we probably won't get Nico Williams. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's been said a few times. I see as, you know, there's all this hype. You would hope after all the hype we will get Eze. And I think there'll be a left, you know, somebody left field coming that we just not heard about. Because I mean, if you look at it, you know, with Archie Gray, I mean, that's what 30, 40 million, whatever we want to believe the figures are.
40.
If we look at Guehi, that's probably another 30, 40 million. If we got Eze in theory, that's the money we had to spend until we start shipping some of these players out for money.
We're talking down payments as well. Like you say, there might be a hefty fee on Eze. The others are probably down payments.
Yeah, but we talk about down payments. When if you look at all the times we talk about how much we've spent, it's not the down payments we talk about, it's how much that player's cost. And when we talk about having 120 million, to me, or 150, whatever figure we want to, it's not, oh, well, it's only cost us 20 million now for Eze or whatever. It's, well, Eze was 60, that's 60 gone. You know, it's whatever figure we've got to spend, whatever that player cost is that's the whole figure comes into what we've got to spend.
Yeah, we've laid out what 30 million, say, because Roden went the other way max. It might be 25 and Roden. We don't know the figures, do we?
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, it's
since 2019, the stadium opened, we spent 685 million on 29 players.
Yeah,
we've averaged 137 million a year. Now we've done that with COVID when we lost a year and a half of gate receipts, which is probably only about 160, 80 million or something like that, right? So I would expect us to be able to spend 140 million, whether it's in down payments or not. Perhaps a bit more because we had our best revenue year last year, right? Which included revenue from European football from the year before, right? So I would think we've probably got about 150, and that's without sales. And I think we could bring 70 million in for sales, right? Now you might think,
but we signed last season. We spent 240 million, 242 million, or 250, whatever it was. Okay, granted, the Kane money came in, right, which made the difference.
That counts as sure profit on the accounts because he was homegrown, right?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that we went over 240 million or something like that, if my memory serves me correct. So this season, needing to bolster, needing to progress in Angie's, like, you know, project, for example, which is our project as well, which is a club project, to only have 150 without sales seems quite low. I mean, you know, taking into consideration last season. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it all depends. Like, it's structured deals. It goes a long way. If you brought in, I believe we're getting, I'll come to what, right, okay, I'll go with it now. I believe we're going to get another 4 players in, right? Now, uncertain who the exact targets are going to be that we get in. But the reason I say 4 is because forget Spence and forget Reguilon, who's going to go, right? They're going to go anyway, right? But if Gil, Lo Celso, Emerson and Højbjerg go, they are 4 players that have been on the bench last year, 4 of the squad. You've got to replace those 4 to make the numbers up if you don't do it with academy prospects. So I think we'll get another 4 in. And I know that you could put 20 mil down on 4 more players and spend 80 mil and then you amortize it. Because like we owe 308 million, right, on agents' fees and transfers anyway. And out of that, that would have to be paid over 5 years. So, you know, you're looking at 62.5 mil a year to get rid of that over 5 years or whatever it is. It's just over 60 mil anyway, right? Without getting involved in semantics, right? So look, there's no excuse for us not having a very good transfer win. There's no excuse for it, right?
There's one excuse. There's one excuse.
Other fans, I understand other fans going, underwhelming. Yeah, it's not. Look, Gray's an exciting player. Is it an exciting transfer? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. But he is an exciting player. We've all seen him. I've watched him. The kids. To me, see, it's like when I watch them videos and you look for a player. I mean, without stating the obvious, unless you're watching a Pele or Ronaldo or something like that in the past, you know, in 09 or whatever it is, you know, when you ain't got to be clever to say the player's superb or brilliant, but he's one of those players when you look at him. When I watched Archie Gray, and I just go, it's the same when I looked at Bergvall, although he's coming into a different league, so difficult. It's one of the players I've looked at, but it's only my opinion. I go, yes, he's a yes for me. Bergvall's a yes for me, right?
But why is he a yes and then Archie Gray's a maybe? This is the problem I've got, where if you talk to any Leeds fan, they are all gutted he has gone. Yeah. And, you know, it's like us saying, oh, Udoji's gone this season. And us as fans know how good he is, so we're gutted. The others like, well, yeah, you know, maybe he's not that good. And to me, I don't understand why people aren't excited about Archie Gray, because from what I've seen of him, he's talented. You know, the only reason people aren't excited is because he's come from Leeds United in the Championship in the English League. If he'd have come from Italy or Spain, we'd be shouting, we'd be over the moon about having him. If he was, you know, if he had some fancy name, we'd be over the moon about him.
Yeah,
No, I disagree with all of this. I disagree with all of this. It's because it's the same old stuff. It's another project. The project's been going on now for probably 10 years. We need players that are ready for the first team, that are going to improve us. Right. Not they might be good, but then again, they might not be. You don't know. I mean, Archie Gray is an unproven entity. All right, he's looked good at Leeds, but he might be a flop in the Premier League. I'm not saying he's going to be, but we need players that are first team ready now. That's going to improve.
I don't think Archie Gray is the same as a lot of people that we look at. Dele Alli. I think he's another Dele Alli. He's going to come in. And I don't think it'll be long before he is playing in our team. I honestly don't. I think he's that good. He will get a spot in our team. Might not start for the first few games. I get that, but I don't think it's going to be long before he's ready to play.
But this is why people aren't getting excited, because
but if we go and sign, say for argument's sake, we go and sign somebody for Italy. You know, who's already, it doesn't mean to say that when he comes into England, into the Premiership, he's going to be able to start, you know, there's every chance that he might not work.
Yeah, I know. But what I was trying to say is we need established players for our first team that's going to improve it immediately, i.e. Eze.
Yeah, there's a risk with every signing you bring in.
I mean, it's like we're all shouting for Vlahovic. What's to say he would come into a Tottenham team and hit the ground running? Well, you know, we Dybala last season and the season before. What's to say they're going to come in and hit the ground running? You know,
no guarantees.
They probably will, but there is every chance that they need to. I mean, you know, it's like anything. You get these top players, unless you're signing from the Premiership. You get these top players and they have to move to England, and then they have to adjust their lifestyle and then get into a new team, get into a new system. These are all things, and all these top names that we're talking about don't necessarily fit into the way Ange Postecoglou wants them to play.
All you can do with players when they're coming from abroad, if they're not an established Premier League player and you know they're good anyway, and same with the Championship, all you can do is like you can get all the data analytics off these companies that do it for you, which Spurs pay into, obviously. And then when you see a list of players you've got, you send your chief scout out, Rob McKenzie, or your scouts to do the eye test on him. And then you do the due diligence, which you should have done on Mbele, checked his background, what's his mentality like? Is he a lazy sod? Or how does he train? Does he get on with his teammates? Is he a team player and all that? Because no matter how good they are, I think that you don't want them anyway. And Ange won't have anyone like that anyway. So, and that's what. But then you still, when you bring them in, there is still that small percentage of risk with them. So, like, you don't know. But I mean, listen. If we were starting from scratch, going back, and you said to me, if you're confident you can pick two, would you take? I know they're different types of players, right? Would you take Ben Johnson or Archie Gray? I would have took Archie Gray every day of the week, right? So that's the difference in my thinking, you know.
But that's hindsight, though. Sorry to interrupt, but that's hindsight.
Yeah, but Gray just looks. It's probably his position where, like, if you are more, there's more focus on you when you're a striker, especially if you miss chances and things like that. You can get away with the odd mistake in midfield. You know, it's not very forgiving.
The thing is, though, we look at the types of player, like you said, they're very different players. But to me, the biggest downside to Brennan Johnson is he's tracking back. He's all right going forward, and you know he'll keep going forward and bombing forward. But whichever side he plays on weakens that side defensively, and that's the downside for me. Now you look at, say, Archie Gray. And yes, he's a more defensive player. I get that, but he's still quite exciting going forward. So it's a flip. He can play defensive and go forward, whereas Brennan Johnson can go forward but not necessarily defend. And that's the only downside I find with Brennan Johnson is you kind of watch him and you think, go on, just run. But then he doesn't come back. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think they'll get that sorted out. Yeah, and especially with young players, because they're adaptable. They're you know that you can mold them into what you need. Whilst, for example, you get experienced players in, they're bringing the experience. There's no problem about that. But you know, and I'm sure that from here to the 31st of August or whenever the window closes, it won't be like 6 youngsters because everybody's just going to shit's going to hit the fan, right? But that's from a fan base point of view. It's like, what the hell's going on, you know? But I like to refer to about, you know, what we're talking about before. Is that they've identified what they want, right? And it's not going to be a 28-year-old proven right winger from Italy, for example. It's going to be a proven player, regardless of his age, that can do what the team needs him to do in attack and in defense. And that, I think, and he could be called Joe Blogs or Blow Jogs. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference because that's what the team needs according to those in charge of the team, which is Ange and the sporting director, whatever you want to call, however they're, you know, interlocked. And we would like to see Eze, but Eze could be a smokescreen. Eze could be a big smokescreen because someone better, not better as a player, but better equipped for what the team needs to do is half the price. No one knows him, and just wait and see what he's capable of. Because the ones in charge are the ones that know what they're doing. Whilst we see things differently, you know, it's like go out and get Chiesa. Chiesa 25, great, brilliant, but maybe he's not what the team needs. That's what I'm trying to get to.
The thing we've got to remember is as well, there is 2 very big competitions going on at the moment, and a lot of players that we may have identified are not available just at the moment because they are out playing for the national teams. You know what I mean?
Possibly,
it's like, you know, if France come home today, then we'll see Guehi. If Spain had to come home or Germany, you know, you don't know what's going to happen with these international teams. Again, it could be the South American teams. We don't know until the whole competition's over and these players are suddenly available to talk to.
But I think that is positive because if we're out scouting the market or we're saying, Spurs are definitely going in for Eze, well then other teams might get involved. Other teams might get involved in hiking the price up or offering him different stuff. And in the end, we won't get him. So that's not exactly smart. It's not savvy to say what your targets are, right? Especially in a team that Spurs that are under construction. We've been eternally under construction. But I say from Ange forward, we've been under construction. We're on a path. I like the path we're on. I think it's going to get better, regardless of what trophies we may or may not win. but I think that the path is going to get better, and he's setting the club up, if they follow in his footsteps, to something great, whether he's here or not. And I think it's pretty. I think it wouldn't be intelligent for us to be going out and saying which targets we're after. Do you know what I mean? So I think, as you were saying, sorry, it's probably left field, but can do the job equally or better than the proven Prem players. Do you know what I mean?
And the thing, we've got to remember as well is that if we don't get rid of Lo Celso, we're not going to bring another player in. That's the problem. If we don't get rid of Højbjerg, we're not going to get another player in because we've got too many players. It's the same, the same we've had for so many seasons. These players need to be shipped out just as well as getting these players in. And that's why I kind of think we're probably going to see these youngsters coming in at the moment because maybe the main targets just aren't available at the moment.
Yeah, but they're probably cooking in the back.
Eze will be available after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to come to you now, Mark, because we'll carry on as long as we keep the shows interesting, obviously. And I want to come to strikers, so I'm going to give you a choice because I'll do a round robin of a list, and you can get your comments on them. Because one of my biggest fears and where my head is suffering from brain fog is where the hell is a good enough striker for us to bring in to help us out? And I believe Richarlison will stay. He came back 2 weeks earlier from his holiday to train at the ground. That's not a sign of a player that wants to leave the club amongst all the BS rumours that are out there. I think he's staying because if we get rid of him, we'd have to get 2 strikers in. And besides that, I hope, this is more a hope, I hope that if he's got his psychological problems and his injury problems over him, we might see an even better Richarlison. Now, I might be kidding myself, right? But I'm going to kid myself because, I want every player at our club to do well. Right, Mark, I'm going to come to Ivan Toney from Brentford, Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord, Serhou Guirassy from Stuttgart, who I don't believe the deal through Dortmund's gone through because they've got a new coach, right? Could be wrong. Albert Gudmundsson, who I quite like, Openda, right, at Leipzig. And who else we've been linked with? And Jonathan David at Lille. Do you like any of those, Mark? Have you seen them, or do you like any of those 6?
Yeah, obviously, Ivan Toney.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's Premiership proven. He improves our team immediately, which is what I keep harping on about. That's all I say. These transfers, it's all right buying all these kids, but do they improve us immediately? No, they don't, in my opinion. So I want people to come in and grab that. Well, first of all, give competition for what's already there, or even take the shirt straight off them and say, right, now you've got a fight on your hands to get in this team. That's what we need. We've been going through a project for, ever since I can remember. We very nearly got to the pinnacle with Poch, but we all know what happened there. Mr. Levy decided on spending £1 billion on the ground, and we never bought no one for 500 and something days. But that's by the by. And so I want players that will come in and just say, no, this is my shirt now. If you want it, you've got to fight for it. You got to up your game. If not, you're not going to get in the team.
So you're a Tony man. And
I shut up a doubt. No, shut up a doubt, because you can't tell me, all right, you got banned for however long it was for his betting stuff. But you can't tell me that during that time he wasn't forced by the Premier League to go to rehabilitation, do all this stuff, like point out where he's gone wrong. This is why you're banned. You'd have been told that anyway. Look, these are the reasons you're banned. Don't do it again. And he'd have had to go into some sort of rehabilitation about it. So if he does it again, he's just plain stupid. To sort of reoffend for the same thing. So he's not going to do that again. And can he score goals? Yes, he can. Is he better than Richarlison? Yes, he is. Is he as good as Harry Kane? No. But Harry's not coming back. So we go, he improves us immediately. So just bring him in.
Any others that list?
No, I've only watched other content. And Jonathan David is not meant to be too bad, but again, I'm not even sure where he plays at the moment.
He's at
Lille.
Lille. He's had 2 consistent.
Oh, he's at Lille. He's in French league.
The
Yeah.
season before last, I looked at a video of him. I wasn't that struck on him. But
Oh, were you not? Well,
that doesn't mean I'm right though. I'm
no. I've only watched other. I've not actually seen any footage of him.
But he has been consistent because like he's had another decent season. So
yeah, this is sort of what I got from the other content I've been watching. But to me, there's only one, Ivan Toney. Bring him in. He improves us immediately, and that's exactly what we need. Not none of these that might be good in a couple of years. That's all we seem to buy now. You know, or they might be good, or they might be Jed Spence or Jack Clark.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
good take. Soren, any of those on that list of 6?
I don't want Tony. I don't think he's good enough. I don't for an Ange system. Look, I mean, everybody keeps coming up with, well, it was bad for half the season last. Well, yeah, he was bad. Well, does that mean he can't come back and score goals? He was shit in the second half when he came back. Richarlison was far better than Tony in the second half of last season. And we look at, Tony scored goals. I'm not denying that. But I'll tell you now, he will not play that, and he will not run around like Richarlison does. And that is what Ange
he doesn't press, give you that.
Wants for his team. And it's all right saying, well, he might have been for coaching and things like this. But to me, if you've been out for 6 months for a betting thing like that, you should be fit when you come back, or as fit as you can be. You should be wanting to come back and prove a point. And to me, he didn't come back and prove a point. So would I want him in my team? No, I don't think, not with Ange Postecoglou as manager. If it was a different manager and a different system, possibly. But I don't see us actually, I don't think we're going to sign a striker. I really don't. Because I think he's going to go with Richie and Son, and then Brennan Johnson as a third backup. And if we're linked to these wingers, I think that's where Angie's looking to think, right, if we get the wingers in, it frees up Sonny, it frees up Brennan Johnson, it frees up Richarlison. Now, I'm not saying they're good enough before anybody gets on my back, but I see Ange Postecoglou strengthening in different areas. If we get a striker, I think it's going to be somebody who we either haven't been linked to yet, and that could be the left field person coming in, or it's already done and it could be Jimenez. But to me, if it was going to be Jimenez, I would have thought it'd have been here by now.
I don't think the experiment of Son through the middle works. We've seen it work, and we've seen it fail against low blocks. And the point is, we shouldn't have half and half experiment. We should have a striker there that can do the job all the time that's required of them. And Son, to me, he can play on the right. People forget that Son can play on the right. He scored a lot of goals on the right.
I think you're right, but what we've also got to remember within that system is if Richie is fit and playing, then if we get some wingers that can actually put a ball into the box, then Rich is good in the air. He just doesn't get many crosses in to actually nod it in. The crosses that have been put in have generally been behind our strikers. So that the balls into the box haven't been good enough. And if you watch Ange's system, it's the left wing back passing to the right wing back, or the left winger passing to the right winger on the far posts.
Yeah, the overloads.
That's why I don't necessarily see us signing a striker. And I don't think everybody's going on about Ivan Toney. He's not coming for 35, 40 million. He's going to be 60 million, and he's not worth it. He's not worth 60 million.
Don't you think part of the issue is like, where's our bodies in the box to cross the ball to?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, this is what I'm saying, that if you've got, say, Richarlison in there and we actually put a cross in, then there's a chance. But if you watch all the games last season when Richie was playing, it was played to his feet outside the box, and then he's got to think about what he's going to do to be able to then go on and score a goal. And that's the problem with Richie. He cannot dribble past players.
His first touch is horrendous.
Yeah, he's got to be a ball put in, so he's hitting it first go or he's heading it. And there wasn't enough. If you watch when we put them type of balls in, Richie scored. That's when he went through them, them few games where he was scoring 3 or 4 goals. It was because the ball was put on a plate for him. Now, you can get an Ivan Toney in. Yes, he's going to run. But with our system, he hasn't got the room to run because we're playing high up the field.
But
Exactly.
but that's where I think Tony can be useful to us, because he can drop deep. He knows how to, he's tricky with his feet as well. He's good in the air. He can get in the box. So I think that those kind of opportunities open up, our play, and would be a hell of a lot better than Sonny at number 9. You're right in saying, Soren, about Richarlison when he's when he proved himself last season, or when he did the job last season in a handful of games or quite a few games. He did score, I think, 12 goals or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
He got 16
he can
goals,
do
I think 16 or 17, son.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he can do it. It's just the consistency. And if you haven't got someone that can play, that can even have a good first touch, you have an issue. You have an issue, because if you can't control a ball first touch, and you're Brazil's number 9, the moniker Brazil's number 9, he isn't anymore, and you're playing elite football, and you don't have a good first touch,
Chris,
you're not going to be. Sorry.
Yeah. In fairness, sorry to interrupt. In fairness to him, though, I think Richarlison has had some unfair stick. When he had that injury and groin problem, he come back. His touch did get better. When he went for that goal-scoring spree that he had, his touch was better. It's there. When your game goes, as a forward, everything goes. You touch everything. Nothing works for you. Now, I'm not sticking up for him if this kept on and on and on and on. I mean, he needs to have a breakout season. Like there's a few players at this club need. I mean, but don't get his act together. Richarlison, they'll be. Angel will be ruthless. He got rid of loads at Celtic. He will be ruthless. Even Poch, when he was at Spurs for 5.5 seasons, Poch got rid of 36 players. Went through the club under Poch, and he still didn't get the signings he wanted. And Angel will do the same. He will. And
let's not forget though, with Richarlison in that sort of first season when everybody was on his back because he wasn't scoring. He actually scored about 10 goals that were slightly offside. And, his confidence was draining because every time he did score, yes, as a player, he shouldn't be offside, but he was offside because our players, once again, weren't putting that ball in quick enough. So, we can slate Richie off. And yes, he's not a world-class player and we could upgrade on him, but I don't think he's as bad. And we look at it last season. He was playing with mental problems. He was playing with injuries. And when he did come back and when he got on form, he wasn't that bad a player. And now you look at him this season, like we've already said, you don't come back this early if you think the club's selling you or you want to move. He already knows he's probably our starting number 9.
Oh, he'll give us 100%. You know that. He's going to give us 100%. Whether he's good enough, this season will prove it. This is going to be a big season for him.
The thing is, we talk about Sonny. We can't play him as a number 9. Yes, we can play him as a number 9 because we've got Europe. We've got the Cups. He could play in some of those games. Now, I'm not saying, against the low block, Sonny is not the answer. Definitely but not every team is going to play the low block against us.
Yeah, we need midfielders to break into the box. The reason Guehi takes a lot of stick. He admitted he had a poor season by his standards, but he's still got 8 goals, more than Johnson, more than Werner, right? And he cuts into the closed space to narrow the space between him and a player because there's no one there. But I mean, he can cross. I mean, that cross for Kane to score the winner against Man City away was with his right foot. He has got a right foot. He could use it more when he's down there. But to put a cross in the box, when I'm watching the games at the ground, I'm looking, well, if you get that ball, that player there, that'll be Glenn O'Lesk. I mean, that ain't going to happen, right? So he's going to cut into narrow the space. And Guehi made more incursions in the penalty area last season than any player in the Premier League. He cut in more. I mean, we know he's got anyway. And the only reason I mention him because do you see him playing as a number 9 or a number 10?
Oh, Guehi.
Yeah.
He should be a number 10. He should be a number 10 because when he's on the right, all he does is cut in and use his left foot. You know, when have you ever seen him beat the defender and whip it in with his right foot? Never.
Yeah, but
Never.
the problem with that, Mark, is when Maddison was injured and Guehi came in and played that sort of creative role, he had one good game.
Yeah.
The rest of the time he was absent. So to me, Guehi's, you know, he's one of those players that, again, it depends who we're playing and how the system is, because sometimes it can look good and sometimes it can look bad. But I would say we have looked better when he's on the right wing than we have when he's played anywhere else on the field.
I'll be honest with you, I'd be tempted to stick him on the left so we can beat the player and whip it in with his left foot. If that's what he's meant to do.
That's always, I mean, you look at it and you think, why haven't we done that? But there must be a reason that we haven't done that, because, you know, yes, he always wants to come on his left foot, but is that the problem? I think with Guehi is that I like him on the right wing and I like him cutting in, but he needs to run down to the byline every now and again to make the defender think, well, which way is he going? Because we all know he's going to cut in every single time.
He's too predictable. He is the definition. If you look up predictable in the dictionary, there's a picture of Guehi in there.
I'm a big fan of him. He is one of my favourite players. He's got such a good skill set, such quality on the ball. But what I want to see, and what Spurs fans want to see, we want to see him reproduce his debut season form. That's what we want to see. It's in him. I know we're going through a phase with this club of our players, and our midfield's been pants, our front line's been pants. We conceded 14 goals from set pieces, blah, blah, blah. You can go on about the wrongs and rights in the team and players we like amongst all that, amongst all the things that we criticise the manager and the players for. But he's a quality player. I mean, if they sold it tomorrow and said, look, we're getting Nico Williams and Guehi's going, fair enough. That's his decision. He's the manager. He'll either live or die on the hill this season. And his big seat, I shall back him all this season. Though. He gets my backing. Not till Christmas. Sod that. Right? He get all season from me.
The thing that makes me laugh with Ange is, you know, everybody's calling out for, you know, Ange is going to go in December. Ange is going to go in December. Why aren't the board coming out now and backing him? Well, why the hell should the board come out now and back him? Because
he's got a contract.
He's under contract, and his job isn't under pressure at the moment. So, yes, if all of a sudden in December he's under pressure, then the board need to come out and back him. But, you know, it just makes me laugh that everybody's going on about, oh, the board need to come out now and say he's going to be our manager. Well, we know he's going to be our manager. Why the hell are every other Premiership team out coming out and saying, oh, yeah, so-and-so's our manager when we start?
On the flip side of that, we all know how Daniel Levy works. If we're 10th or something at Christmas, if we're 10th at Christmas, Daniel Levy's gun will be out and he'll be ready to fire.
I don't see that happening.
Well, he does it all the time, and so there's no evidence to say that he's not going to do that.
I think, Mark, I see where you're coming from, and you make a valid point there. But I think Levy's probably under more pressure than ever before.
Well, the fans are going mad.
He's got to stick with this. He's got to stick with this.
He's got no choice.
He's told us, well, the last thing, we don't know what happened at the AGM recently. No, there's been no reports of that. But he told us that, oh, we've got our Tottenham back. Really? Mm-hmm. Really? That's what he said. Yeah. And he's the one who brought in Mourinho, Santo, and like Conte.
Yeah, but
right? Any other organisation, if he'd been a boss, he'd have been sacked. It's only because he's got a large
thinking here. The football, for me, this is my opinion. The football has been far better this season, even when we've lost. And yes, there's been a few games where we just haven't shown up, and they've been disappointing. But the football, on the whole, for the whole season, has been better than it has been for 3 or 4 years now.
Since Poch.
And you can look back and you can think there is 3 or 4 matches last season where, you know, a lot of us fans came on and said the worst thing about the loss today was the team just showed no spirit. There just wasn't any, nobody turned up. But in a lot of the other games where we might not have won, the team has looked like they've been trying at least, and things haven't gone for us. And this is why I kind of look at it and think, yes, it doesn't matter what manager is in position. If we are 10th come December and we are playing crap football and we are losing by however many goals, no manager's safe. It doesn't matter who they are. It's full stop. I mean, can you imagine Man City being in 10th and playing shit football and Pep still being in a job? I think even Pep would be under pressure. Klopp would.
Of course he would. Of course he would. Yeah. He's got money in the bank.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If we were 8th or 9th or 7th and the football, the football's being good and we're losing 2-1 or something like that, but we win one, we lose one, we win one, we lose one, he's not under pressure. He's not under pressure. If it's a case of, well, we're losing, and it's 3-4, 5-0 every game, he's gone.
That's totally different, though, isn't it? Yeah. That's not fine margins. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah.
As long as Daniel Levy can see that there is belief long term, his job is safe.
We all know what Daniel's like, though. We all know this.
Well, we do, but
he's not got a shining track record in all of this about.
Sorry to interrupt, but we do know what Daniel's like, making very, very bad mistakes as well, which has been Mourinho signing Nuno, signing Conte, just because you want a huge patch over the problem. Yeah. Your problem is recruitment, club identity. You haven't got absolutely no foundations. You've got a nice stadium. You've got nice training facilities. You've got a beautiful, lovely entrance with a nice plaque on it, or whatever you want to call it. But you haven't got the basics. You haven't got the fundamental things, right? And I think that with Ange, we've got the fundamental things because he's proven it last year that without Harry Kane, we scored more goals and we conceded less. I think that was the statistical case. Whether the football was more or less easier on the eye to people, but as Soren said, the football is an extreme upgrade to what we've been seeing under win now proven managers that have got loads of titles apparently. Okay,
yeah, and to be fair, I mean, like the guy done well to get us 5th and lose Harry Kane. That's if I would have took that at the beginning of the season, and I think a lot of fans would that were predicting us mid-table and 8th and things like that. So he's done well, but he didn't escape justified criticism, did he? I mean, like we had the Fulham game, we had some of his substitutions. We're entitled to do that. We're fans. I pay my money, right? If I see something I don't like, I'm going to comment on it. I mean, like some of the substitutions could have been earlier, although he surprised me when he's made some at half time. He surprised me when away to Arsenal. We should have won that game, that 2-2, and he plays Brennan Johnson, gives him his debut away in a game like that. That tells you he really likes a player. If you're giving him a debut there, and we never win there, but we got a draw and should have won. I mean, they couldn't even score a goal in open play against us, right? So no, I mean, like he's got that bit of a touch for him. And
would we have taken 5th last year? Would we have taken 5th last year? Of
course we would.
After Harry was sold, of course we would. Yeah. But a lot of the Spurs fans, especially after the first 10 games, we were expecting better. I mean, to be honest,
we all got on the
back. To be honest, I think 5th. I think 5th is the best thing that happened to us because we're in a competition next year. We're in a competition next year that we can win. Yeah. I mean, let's face it. If we'd have qualified for the Champions League, we might have got last 16. If we might have gone out in the groups. Who knows? But the Champions League at the moment is too big a step.
Yeah, but we have to be careful. We have to be careful with that. Just 2 seconds, Soren. Sorry. I think we have to be careful with that because expectations, when you have a supposedly lesser, least difficult competition, with Europa League, So that means that we're expected to either win it or go far. Or but what if we don't? What if the shit hits the fan and we get knocked out in whatever, early stages?
Well, what I want to
Do
see,
you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that the manager's bad. It doesn't mean that the players are bad. It doesn't. It means that the Spurs contingency are putting a lot of expectation on something that seems easier, right? And it isn't easier, because when you go away to Karabag in flipping wherever they are, you got to beat them, and it doesn't matter if it's 30 degrees, freezing, the pitch is artificial, or you've got to go out and beat them. So football is okay on paper, football is okay up in your head, right? But football is football when you play it, because as the boxers say, everybody's got a plan until you get hit until you get the first punch, right? So
what I want to see, is, I mean, I've parked the FA Cup. The sixth round doesn't, the fourth round doesn't come in till January, first week in January. So I'll forget about that for now. But I think he's learned his lesson with the League Cup. So I want us to go hard with a strong team. We don't know what the final squad depth will be, with a really strong team in the League Cup. And I mean, unless we get Man City away or Liverpool away or something like that, you know what I mean? Really strong in the League Cup. Now we've got 8 games in the UEFA Cup. I reckon if we win first 4 of them, right, or worst ways 5, we'd have a few dead rubbers we could play around with the squad with, which would be a nice situation to be in. Right, but knowing Spurs, we never do it easy. We probably qualify on the last game, right? That's what we're like. But with an own goal, whatever, a penalty.
The thing with that, Adrian, is, I mean, that really gets my tits up, because it's one of those that we all know, momentum, confidence builds momentum, momentum builds confidence. If you win your first 3 or 4 games, and then all of a sudden we've qualified, for argument's sake, and then we start playing our lesser teams, and when we start losing, those losses come back into the Premiership, and that confidence has gone.
Give youngsters a chance. That's what I mean.
But we've got to balance it, and that was the problem with the Fulham game. He changed the whole team virtually, instead of just changing 3 or 4 players. But I want to bring it back with the Tottenham thing. We've just said an hour ago, whatever, that when you're talking about England and we've got the easier group and we're playing the easier teams, we don't get up for it. It's the same with Tottenham. We would have been, in my opinion, much better in the Champions League, playing those teams that were not expected to win, and we then raise our game to play them rather than them raising their game to play us. If we're going away to, I don't know, Russia or somewhere like that, and it's freezing cold on a shitty, horrible night, our players don't want to go there and play some team that are part-timers. Them players want to go and play Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Barcelona. That's when we see our teams playing. If you look back over the last 10, 15 years, there's a few games that everybody remembers Inter Milan, with Gareth Bale running down the... Nobody remembers the Malmos or whatever they're called, where we've lost, because we want to see Barcelona come to Tottenham. We want to see Real Madrid come to Tottenham. Yes, we might get hammered, but we might not. That's the difference. We will raise our game to play them, and we don't want them raising their game to play us. That's the difference between playing, the Intertoto Cup or whatever we want to call it, UEFA Cup, than playing Champions League. And the thing is, the only reason we're getting these players in at the moment is because whatever Ange manages to say down that telephone is convincing these players to come. That might not be the same with a Vlahovic or a Nkape or a Eze or whatever. This is the problem that...
The interesting thing is, like with all the players, is as soon as you bring one more player, we all play Football Manager, suddenly the permutations in your head of your team increase exponentially, right? If we bring Eze in, who plays on the left and left wing, well, Sonny's going to play on the left and Werner plays on the left. On the right, you've got Decky and Johnson at the moment, right? And you've got Manor Solomon to come back. He can play on the right and the left. And people are always saying, throw him under the bus. I ain't seen enough of this kid, right? what I see, okay. But I mean, I don't know if he'd be the real deal. And people say he's going. He's not going nowhere, because before Manor Sullivan can go anywhere to another club, he's got to prove his fitness. So we're going to have him till January, I reckon, because unless he was to have a barnstorming 6 preseason games, he's going nowhere, right? So you've got another winger. So you've got 5. So you could bring Guehi in into the middle, whether as a false number 9 or false. He could hold the ball up as a centre forward. His touch is good. I mean, like. And he can score goals. I mean, it would be an interesting, but are you going to really want to experiment that in league games? I don't know. I mean, if you're 3 goals up, 20 minutes to go, perhaps. But I don't know. I mean, this is down to Ange. I mean, that's why he's paid the money, isn't it? So
but you look at. I mean, I know everybody goes on about, oh, we were found out. I don't believe in that. But you look at those first 10 games, we were purring until that Chelsea game. That team was purring. We kind of looked invincible, and that's why everybody was like, oh, we're going to win the league or whatever. But in hindsight, had we not gone down to 9 men, had we not got those injuries to what were our main players, then who knows what that season would... we might have kept that roll going. We will never know. The fact is, we didn't. And we all go on about, well, yeah, Andrew's going to have this pre-season. Well, let's not forget, we all said that about Conte, and it went downhill after he'd had a full pre-season. It's one of those that, yeah, we expect it to be different, but the team going forward is going to be very different to the team that we had last season. So, we don't know, but I honestly do think that this season coming is going to be very different to the latter 3 quarters of last season. I think we're going to see more of what we saw at the beginning of the season. And I don't necessarily think it was a case of we got found out. I just think our players didn't perform the same way as they did. We look at Bissouma. Bissouma was on fire. Maddison was on fire. They didn't lose their form because teams were playing higher against us. They lost the form because of something, whether it was the injury to Maddison, whether it was the cards with Bissouma, or whether he had malaria or what. There were reasons he wasn't performing. Same as Richie. He was, he had his mental health problems. He had his injuries. That was, we look at it and think, well, when he was fit and when he got his head round it and he started to score a few goals, he was good. I mean, he wasn't brilliant. He's not a world-class player before anybody starts jumping on me, but we started to see what he could do. And I think we'll see a lot more of that this season. And if Ange just lets them play and they believe in the system, we'll be there and thereabouts.
Yeah, it's momentum. I definitely think we won't have the drop-off we had. I mean, coming around the end of the season with the fixtures, when we lose bang like virtually 4 on the spin, and we only need 1 win to get top 4, and I don't see, I see other things coming into play this season, because I think Man City will get a points deduction. I think Chelsea will be charged. And I think their charges are going to be worse than Man City's, and I think they're going to get hit. So I don't see us finishing outside the top 4 this year. I don't, and it could be 3rd. I still think Man City will finish top, but whether they take the titles taken away from with the points deductions, another matter, But we were talking about strikers, guys, and I wanted your opinions actually on other options, because I don't mind the show going on while we're fact based, because as long as we're not waffling. So I did mention Jonathan David. I did mention Santiago Jimenez. I did mention Albert Gudmundsson. I did mention Pender, who's a tricky player but young. I did mention En-Nesyri, and Serhu Guirassy. Chris, any of those you particularly like or not? You think that would suit the system? Forget the money and all that. You're on mute. You're on mute, Chris, I think.
Apologise. Yeah, I say I'm not worried about the money because it's not mine, so I don't have to spend it. But I think that Albert Gudmundsson is not a striker; he's a left winger, can play cam, and he's got his issues, personal issues, off the field, which is a huge question mark as to how he's going to go forward in his footballing career. But if everything were to go, as on a footballing level, he'd be good for left wing or for big up Nita, or Cam, for example, because that's what he's been doing at Genoa, which is fine. Guehi is leaving Stuttgart and Dortmund, regardless of the manager, because I know Terzic's gone out and Nuri Sahin's the new manager, but he's already made his decision to join Dortmund. It's just a matter of time to get that over the line, but that is his preferred and possibly more than expected destination, which would be Borussia Dortmund for Guehi. I don't like him. I think that he's had one season in, from what I've seen at least, and whether he's had a very good season this season, I want to see it over multiple seasons. Now, he's been in Germany for quite a long time.
He's 29 now, I think.
Okay, yeah, age, yeah, that's fine. But I don't think that it's something that we need, because we need a lot of mobility up front. I don't think we're going to get a target man. I think we're going to get someone that can move, that can adapt, that can like an accordion, like a free flowing, like a machine, where one people go in deep, for example, fall deep while the others fall, get in behind the lines. And I think that with younger players that are more moldable or adaptable or manageable, whatever you want to call it, I think that's the idea. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, okay. You're answering Chris O'Sullivan, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Jimenez is good, but I don't know about him falling deep that much. I think he's more of a full-on attacker, kind of striker, kind of get the job done, regardless of what he's got around him. But then our weaknesses as well have been crosses into the box, like aerial threat. He can provide that. Vlahovic can provide that. Tony, up to a certain point, I suppose he can do that as well. Openda, I don't see as a striker. I see him as a left or a right forward, which is very similar to Sonny, right? Can he do it? Yes, but he's a pacey guy. Are we going to play with pace? Are we going to hit players on the counter-attack and attacking transitions? More often than not, no, because we are a position-based, a dominant side. That's what we're. I think that's what we're going for. It doesn't mean we're not going to hit a counter attack. It doesn't mean we're not going to have an attacking transition. But what I'm saying is that more often than not. So I mean, I'm not overly overwhelmed by either of them. But I would bring in Vlahovic, for example. I don't know whether he'd come. I don't know whether we'd get him. I don't know if it's reality. But that because he can be on the edge of the box and whack one in top bins because that's his instinct. That's what he's got. And I don't know.
I was wrong about the price. I have to apologise because back I thought they paid 40 million euros from £34, but then Danny corrected me on his show. He said I must have been looking at something else because I go for so much information, must have clouded my brain. But apparently they paid something like £66.8 million for him. They paid a lot of money for him. So we'd have to give them their money back.
You've paid Fiorentina 41 million, I think.
Well, if you look it up, and then I looked and I see that they paid him. See, this is where these reports are on it. I looked up and I googled it, and it said, and it was near the 80 million euros, which was like 66.8 million pounds. Yeah, and I still weren't quite sure. So anyway, I don't know. All right, so he either cost a lot or he didn't. Right, at the end of that, it's semantics. Like I would like the player. I think he'd be a perfect fit. I do like Guehi though. I do like him. And so what I see with video of him, I like him. I think he'd suit the system. But again, he's not a presser as such. But I think it would suit the system. But as you said, he's had that breakout season. He'd only cost about 15 million, but he's gone. I think he's gone there, actually. There's a rumour the new coach didn't want him, but, if he's already bought and done, there's nothing the new coach can do about that. So what about Jimenez? I haven't heard no raving reports about him in the Copa America. And I suppose Mexico were knocked out early. I suppose I don't know. Anyone looked at Jimenez at all? He's only scored about some goals as Troy Parrott in the Eredivisie anyway. Like, so.
No, I mean his record in Eredivisie is, you know, is not questionable. He's you know, double figures every season, and that's fine. My problem with it, as I said before, he needs to be a link-up player as well, not just the finisher, an out-and-out striker, because I don't think we're going to play with a target man. We're going to need combination, link-up play, etc., etc. That's how I see it. So Jimenez is great. He does fall deep. He can see, but it's not a combination. I don't think he's a combination player. I mean, when we talk about combination, it's not the same as your striker gets it on the edge of the box and plays it out left or right, or plays it back to the, do you know what I mean? To start over again, to recycle. I don't mean that. I mean someone that can actually move the ball with, you know, with impetus and with some kind of reasoning behind it, you see. And that's what I would like to see from our number 9 or our false 9 or whatever we're going to play with, because it's going to be more combination play than get it on his coconut and let him do it all. I don't think that's going to. It's going to be so versatile, and you know, and so many people are going to try, you know, be scoring, that the fact that a number 9 killer target man is not going to be needed. So I don't know. I mean, that's what I expect.
I think Chris sums everything up there. It's hard to follow him because he says everything that I'm about to say, but
oh, sorry, mate.
No, it's fine because it saves my voice. So I kind of look at it and think Ange is one of these managers that expects more goals from his wingers than he does from his centre forward. You know, it's as a combined, not mean individually, but you know, a lot. The way he plays, he wants his left wingers crossing it to the right winger on the far post to knock it in. Same right wing to left wing, and it's one of those that you could almost say a big name striker isn't necessarily where Ange's going to go. Now,
correct.
Look, if we could get Vlahovic in, I don't think there is a Tottenham fan out there that wouldn't be over the moon. And I'd kind of rather see Vlahovic come in than Eze. You know, but I don't see him wanting to come to Tottenham. And like we say with the rest of them, they're either going somewhere else already or they don't suit the system. Now, Jimenez, I think it's one of those that you look at him and think there is potential there, but it's the Eredivisie, and we've seen how, again, a bit like the French thing, how players come out and they've looked fantastic there, but haven't managed it in the Premiership. It's one of those that I see us concentrating more on some wingers than I do see us. I honestly don't think we're going to sign a striker. I really don't. Unless it's a versatile striker that can play on the wings again.
My point is, if you can't get someone Ange wants, and we know there's a dearth of strikers out there, or they're not available, then why not give Elogio Velez a chance, or Troy Parrott, or Dane Scarlett a chance? Because we've done this in the past. This club has done it in the past. Annoyed me. We've bought players in out of desperation that we know that have turned out to be rubbish, right? I mean, and just because I don't know if it's to appease the fans or just because we're short, but we couldn't get who we wanted to get in because we faffed about in the transfer market, right? And like, I don't want a striker in that Ange doesn't want. So if it's a case of like, we can't, if he wants Tony, fair enough. If he wants him, and it's fair enough. We haven't really spoken too much about Jonathan David. If he wants him, fair enough, right? But I don't want a striker just for the sake of it. And I know the fan base wouldn't be happy. Oh, we haven't got a striker, and I would get that. But then why we shouldn't adopt this policy of just like getting someone in, because we do need a striker. But if we're going to bring one in, then is he going to be better than what we can work out with what we've got, with Guehi playing there, Sonny playing there behind Richarlison or whatever, or even bringing Donnelly in, you know, Lancashire or whatever. I don't know. I mean, like, this striker thing's got me. I mean, apart from Vlahovic, I'm not. See, with Tony, with me, it's but. I don't know why everyone ain't queuing to snap him up? I don't know why. Why haven't Chelsea, who need a striker, snapped him up? Why haven't West Ham, even West Ham, gone in for him? They probably will when they seem to get everybody else's pickings, like leftovers, right? Why hasn't someone else gone in for him? What is it with this guy that, if it is an attitude and training problem, if it isn't, then he ain't coming to Spurs?
Yeah, but Adrian, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how many games he played last season in the second half, but what did he score? 2 goals. Well, 2 goals from, say, 10 matches isn't setting the world on fire. And yes, there's all the excuse of, well, he missed 6 months of, through thingy. Well, it's only the same as a player coming out of pre-season and scoring from the first, second, third game. I mean, if you're a proven striker that's supposed to be very good and he's the player that's going to come in and save Tottenham, well, I would have expected more than 2 goals in half a season.
Yeah.
And, that to me tells me that, yes, he's scored before, and I get that, but there is something not right, either with the attitude or with he's not a team player or something that the rest of that team, because to me, if that was me and I've been banned for 6 months for whatever, when I come back in that team, I am putting everything on the line to prove that team was right standing by me. Now, he doesn't seem the sort of player that did that. And do I want him to come and lead my team? No. And I don't, like I've said, I don't see Ivan Toney running around the pitch, closing down. Like, that's the type of player that Ange wants. So, personally, I see us getting wingers and midfielders that can score, and we're not quite as bothered. I mean, I know this is going to sound silly, but let's go back a few seasons. Barcelona didn't have a striker, and they were a fantastic team. Spain didn't have a striker. They were a fantastic team. They relied on goals coming from elsewhere, and I think that's the sort of thing Angie's looking for. He wants a team where it doesn't matter where the goals come from, as long as they come. But
there's a bit of a difference between when you talk about international sides and competitions, because to win the World Cup or the Euros, you only need to win 7 games. If you're in the league,
Barcelona played virtually a full season with no striker because the midfield
Pep's done it as well.
Yeah, because the midfield was scoring. Now, if we can score from our midfield, but let's not forget, you don't need to score as many goals if you don't concede as many goals.
So there is that.
Maybe if we don't concede 2 or 3 goals every game, we only need 1 to score. And if we only need 1 to win a game, look at Arsenal. We talk about, 1-0 to the Arsenal, and they kept winning 1-0, 1-0 because they weren't conceding. Now,
can I just interject? Can I interject a minute? France have beaten Team Ronaldo 5-3 on penalties.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not Portugal, it's Team Ronaldo.
Fair enough, Mark. We know where your heart lies.
I'm sure he'll be back in 4 years.
Yeah. Well, the game's just about him, isn't it? I mean, it's not about it's not Portugal. It's like Team Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo and 10 others.
Yeah. So Spain, France, is it a semi-final?
Yeah.
I would have preferred Portugal, to be honest, because I think they're not as strong as France.
Yeah.
On the whole. But I think both have been very weak this tournament.
So one of them will play Switzerland or Turkey or the Netherlands in the final then.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of them. Yeah.
I mean,
Eze would be a Spurs player by then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, we talk about Eze. Where's he actually going to play?
Left midfield. Left.
Yeah, I saw he was left.
If Madison doesn't get his
you're
finger
dropping
out,
Sonny on the left. So you're dropping Sonny on the left.
Well, you could play Sonny on the right. Look at the goals he scored on the right. He cut in a away game at Leicester, curled one in. Look at Wembley when he ran down the pitch. He made Lewis look an idiot. He puts it in the net. He can score. Look, he's 2-footed.
Look, I don't doubt Sonny, but I don't think. I mean, as much as we all talk about Eze, and look, he's a fan, and he'd walk into our first team in the sense, depending where he's going to play. But you kind of also look at it and think, is he the smokescreen? Is he the one that where all the noise is
not
about, and we're not actually going to go for him?
Well, the thing with the Eze thing is, Soren, the thing that caught me now, depends if the report is true, right? I read and was told also that Johan Lang was in talks. This was going back a while. Had talks with Crystal Palace over Eze.
Yeah.
Right? Now, obviously, the details are. We know the details. He's got a release clause. So whether Palace want to sell him or not, if we offer the release clause, then I think they're legally bound to sell the player if he wants to come. Right. So that tells me that when Eze and his entourage have been at Spurs and they're all interrelated with that CAA base agency.
Yeah, I was going to say, like his agents have got like half the Tottenham team on their books. Is that right? Yeah. Or quite a few of the Tottenham team.
There's a few. And I mentioned Porro on as well. So I was reading between the lines, and I could be totally wrong. I was just thinking, well, okay, if you've spoken to Palace, I know you were saying it the other way around on another podcast with me, Soren. To me, I think, well, you must have spoken to the player and his agent. You got to know the player wants to come. If the player don't want to come, what's the point of talking to the club? So I think there's groundwork there. Whether this is going to be left late in the window, it depends on the order of the targets they want to get in. It might be that in areas they want to get in what they consider to be more difficult targets and drop. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we're all pissing in the wind here, aren't we, with this transfer?
Yeah. The thing is, it's all right saying if we meet the release clause, but if the release clause is 68 million and 60's got to be paid up front, we ain't getting him. That's the thing. Yes, you know, we meet the release clause, but you've also got to meet the terms of the release clause. Mm-hmm. Now, if that release clause says it's 60 million up front, unless negotiated, and Crystal Palace don't want to negotiate, then it doesn't matter, you know.
If we look at things logically, you would think logically if we get a striker and that Son's first on the left with Werner as an impact sub.
Yeah.
Then you don't know.
Signing, wasn't it?
We go for Nico Williams, a Dewey, we may not go for Eze. We're not, you know, I don't know what sort of balance. We don't know what's fully in Andrew's mind, which is a good thing in one way, right? But we don't know what's fully. We haven't got the transparency we need to make the decisions. But when we get the next player in, whoever he is, we'll be in here again, doing permutations, playing Football Manager. You know, I mean, at the moment, I mean, just with Guehi and Bergvall, you've got permutations that can send your head spinning. So it's going to be the same. Like by the time I'm expecting another 4 players. So this is going to be fun. And I think I think the 2 we got are exciting players. It hasn't been an exciting window. Mark's right there. Right. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, like, have you guys go on. I was going to ask you about John.
It hasn't been an exciting window. So look, I get where everybody's slating Werner off, but I'm one of the few that probably thinks it was a sensible signing rather than, you know, it's not the mind-blowing great signing that we all wanted, but I think it's a sensible signing. Now,
really?
Yeah, because you for argument's sake, say we go and get Nico Williams to play on the left. Well, which one of them is going to start, Nico or Sonny? And then you've got one player sat on the bench that might be a bad egg because he's not playing and thinks he should be playing. Werner's not going to do that.
Yeah, and we also mustn't fall into the trap of thinking like it's a first 11 and everyone else is excluded. Because what we want is it needs to be a squad of 20 minimum, you know, because you've got your 11 outfield players, 9 on the bench, and you can only use 6 of them if you include the concussion sub. Yeah. So we keep thinking it's people going, oh, yeah, what about him? He'll come as backup. He won't want to come. We've got 48 games to play minimum if we go all the cup competitions first hit. You could have 2 11-a-sides and you could guarantee them 24 games each. Now, we know that's not going to happen. Injuries and suspensions will dictate who plays when and where, and fitness levels and like whether players are in form or not as well, right? That'll all come into play, obviously. It's obvious stuff. But, yeah.
You know, I see Alex is in the comments.
Yeah.
Yes, it is called competition, Alex. The downside to that is if the players that are in competition aren't getting a game, doesn't mean to say they're going to be sitting there happy. And if they're not happy, they want to leave. And if they want to leave, they don't play for your team. So as much as competition is great, and yes, we do need the competition, and I fully agree with you, it's also, you've got to have the right mentality in those players that are there for the competition. So, you know, we could have that. That's why when we had Harry Kane, we could never get another striker, because nobody wanted to come and sit on the bench all the time because they weren't going to play because Kane's playing. Now, that's the problem. If you're getting, it's all right having these players that are great and they're on a par and they're gonna test each other, but if the mentality isn't right, it doesn't work. And look, Werner isn't the greatest player in the world. I get that, but what it does give you is the right mentality, and it gives you the option of having better players in front of him, where he will still come on and give whatever he can give. It might not be good enough, but for one season, and everybody goes on about, well, it's £165,000. Well, there is a lot of contradicting arguments to say, no, we're not paying all his wages. So I don't know what the right term is there. So to me, it's a sensible signing that hasn't cost us anything other than his wages, and it allows us to go and spend money on a better player somewhere in the team.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing with Eze, for example, you're not paying 60 million. No one is to have him on the bench either.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to play yes or yes.
Yeah.
Whether that's in Maddison's place, whether that's in Sonny's supposed left wing. Do you know what I mean? So you're not going to go out and spend 60 million on a bench warmer. That just doesn't ring true to me.
Well, fair play to Richarlison. He knew he was coming in behind Kane.
Yeah, but when he
it
came
wasn't
in,
certain Kane was leaving.
No. When he came in, I think they already knew Kane was going.
Yeah. Well, I'm certain of that. I'm certain that they knew.
He was Kane's replacement.
Yeah, I get that.
I said that as soon as he come in.
Yeah, and
I did say that.
Come in now and be Sonny's replacement. But if Eze comes to Tottenham and say he's going to play on the left, he wants to be playing now. And you know, the thing is, as much as we slate Sonny and he's not been great, is Eze going to come in and replace Sonny? Is Sonny going to want to sit on the bench? That's the questions you've got to ask.
Well, Sonny's going to be given. The word is Sonny's going to be given a new contract. The length of it is in question. I mean, the year option has already been taken, and I think they might give him. I think they might give him a 2-year deal with the year's option.
I think he will.
Because he could play. I mean, all right, he might have lost the afterburners that get him going from in that Burnley goal. He might have lost a bit of the afterburners, but he is not slow. He's still got pace to slip in down the side round the box and score with both feet. He's the best finisher we've got. People are saying, see, this is it. I don't look when fans turn around and say, fair enough, they're entitled to their opinion, and they'll say like, yeah, sell Son now, want to get money, sell it to Saudi Arabia. Or one, do you think the player wants to go? No, he loves the club. 2, would he go? Does he want to go somewhere and prove himself elsewhere? No, I don't think he does. Right? This is just my opinion. Right? And I just don't. And is he really money orientated? No, he would have gone. He would have gone years ago if that was the case. He loves the club. He just loves.
I'll be honest with you.
I'll be honest. When his career's over, for the Korean connection, especially. Right?
I'll be honest with you. The only way Sonny's leaving this club is in a box, because Daniel will not sell him because of the money he brings in. You know, I mean, every time I
play 32, right? But if you look at someone like Giroud, the French striker, is he still playing? He was 36, 37 or something.
Giroud plays for Milan.
Yeah, and he's not. Giroud's not the quickest, but he's good in the box, and he's very good in the box. Like, you know, we're heading.
Sonny to me is a little bit like Teddy Sheringham used to be.
Yeah,
he's got a footballing brain, and that's a big difference. Now, you know, we can sit here and say he's lost a bit of pace. I don't think he's lost that much pace.
No.
The only difference is he hasn't got the same space to run into like he used to have when he was showing us that. If we're playing against teams that have got the low block or high block, whichever way around it is, you haven't got that space to necessarily run into. But when he has put the burners on, he's gone. You know what I mean? That's the thing where you look at it and you think, well, I see, And that's where, to me, if we sign Guehi, I think he's Sonny's replacement.
Mhm.
He's the long-term replacement for Sonny. So you kind of look at Eze. Now, are we going for, was Guehi kind of the player we was going to get, and Eze's been the smokescreen for him? I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it'd be football suicide to get rid of Son. If fans think make money, I get the angle where they're coming from. He scored twice as many goals as any player in our squad last season, and he was away in Asia as well.
Yeah,
right?
he was away for us. Was it 6 weeks? 6 weeks
away, right? Yeah, he got 17 goals in the season that he shared the Golden Boot under Conte, didn't he, with Salah, right?
Yeah.
I'm confident he could get us 20 goals in the end system as it's smoothed out a bit more and the players take it more on board, So I'm confident he could get us 20 goals on the wing, do a Salah for us.
And
right?
that's what I think Ange wants. He wants goals from them wings.
Yeah, because we're never going to win a league if we don't score goals.
No.
It's all right. This is my only concern. I don't want that. He's injury prone, 2 goals in 20 games, and he's not been a prolific goal scorer anyway, right? Good player when he's fit and well, don't get me wrong. Good player. This Guehi, at least he's a potential prospect, So, and we know about Williams, Nico Williams, don't we? We know he's good, right? Our front three has been pants. So is our midfield, to be honest. And for scoring goals, we need to bring players in that score goals. And and it would help if we got midfielders that scored a few as well, apart from Maddison, and he's got to get his finger out, as is Basuma. I'll see Basuma the one under the most threat next season, actually, if he don't get his act together. But yeah, Jonathan David, guys, what do you know? Last 2 seasons, he has done okay at Lille.
Yeah, well, we talked about him earlier. I've seen bits of him, and I've watched podcasts where they were like sort of bigging him up. But like I said, he's another one. He don't really get your heart jumping, does he? He's at Lille.
Merchant to me.
I think he suits
merchant.
I think he suits the Postecoglou system better than maybe an Ivan Toney does, though.
He don't press either, though. He's more of a box man, I think. This is the issue, you see. Who's going to press? Even Son presses. Even Son presses there.
This is why, again, we're linked to. If you look at it, it's quite interesting because, look, we're getting linked to Tony. We're getting linked to, David, whatever we want to call him, Guehi, and all these sort of. But there is no real convincing stories that we are going to sign a striker. If you look at it, all the main talk is either midfield or wingers. That and that's kind of where I see, like I keep saying, I see that's where we're gonna sign, because you look at it and you think, to me, it's almost as if Postecoglou is saying he's happy with the strike force we've got. He just wants better wingers.
Yeah,
that's the strength in the Postecoglou team, is those wingers, and that's why I think when we look at it, it's the wingers for his system that are more important, and that's why we need more strength in depth is on the wings rather than the strikers, because that's where he relies on his game either working or not.
Yeah,
we got to stand up now. The Queen's in the building.
Queen is in the building. Ellie, you can come on. You've got the link if you want to. I want to, as we're going, well, it's a weekend anyway, so sod it. We'll go as long as we're interested. I want to talk about defenders now, guys. I mean, we have been linked with central defenders. Personally, I don't think there's no urgency. But Mark, come to you first. Central defenders, do you think we need to get another one in?
Possibly, because we've. Well, actually, I don't, because we got. Or is Phillips gone out on loan again?
He might be going to Wayne Rooney at Plymouth with Divine again. I mean,
again.
But whether those deals haven't been arranged yet, I don't know.
No.
He'll be going out on loan again.
I believe we need 4, and we got 3. I mean, one of them's been fantastic in the Euros.
Dorrington's coming back for injuries left, but he's good on the ball. He's good.
Yeah,
but Phillips is 6'4". He's like a tank.
And apparently he did very well at Plymouth.
Yeah,
like my
Divine was a bit hit and miss, but the kid's got talent. Like,
my son-in-law, he raved about Phillips because he's in Plymouth and he watches a lot of Plymouth and he raved about him.
Yeah, I watched him snips of him when he was playing for Blackburn. He didn't look out of his depth. You know, like when Dragerson first came at his first game, everybody think, "Oh, what have we bought here? Another unknown."
He's been fantastic.
Straight away, you thought he doesn't look out of his depth. He'll be all right. And now for Romania, he looks even better, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say, how good was he for Romania? He was fantastic for Romania.
He made some really good blocks and stops. He might have been slightly at fault. His concentration might have gone for that goal on the goal line. I think he thought he was going to go over the line. He's got to make sure. And the player zipped in behind him and crossed it, and they scored, didn't they? And I thought, I think
that I think if Ange can sort it out and not play so suicidal, where most of the team are up the other end and we only leave because that's how teams scored against us. They hit us on the counter. As long as we don't play that suicide football again.
I'll come to that point in a minute.
But you see, I'm going to counter that now. If you look at it, everybody was going on, and we did concede against that ball over the top and the quick break, and then everyone moaned that we were conceding from set pieces. Well, which is it? We conceded from both, but everybody's moaning, oh, he needs to sort out his set pieces. Well, the last couple of games, we didn't concede from a set piece. We didn't concede from a quick break neither, or over the top. So, yes, it does need sorting. But, again, when you look at it, part of the problem is we're letting Romero go up and go forward a lot, which is basically only leaving Van der Ven. And as great a player, I'm not slating Van der Ven one bit, but we've only seen him really being a fantastic defender when he's running at pace to get back and make them tackles. The one game where he was kind of playing further back and having to defend as a proper defender, he made 2 or 3 mistakes and we conceded. So, yes, Van der Ven is absolutely superb and don't want any other defender in that position, but he's not as good when he's further back. It's his pace that saves him all the time.
Yeah.
We do need another left-sided player because we've seen if Van der Ven's out, Dragerson doesn't necessarily... He fits in there and he played okay, but he's not spectacular. If Udoji's out, we're knackered. So we need that other left-sided centre-back that either releases Van der Ven to the left or another centre-back that can play left-sided and left-sided wing-back.
Well, Chris, Calafiori's left-footed, but there's rumours he's going to half a dozen clubs, Arsenal being one. Would you take him?
Of course I would. But then you've got the issue of same as Eze. You're going to pay a lot of money for someone who's you've either got, right? So either you sign Eze, Maddison goes to the bench, right? If Sonny plays out wide and we expect Sonny to play out wide, Maddison is a 10. So you're signing Eze for 60 plus 8, whatever that is, 60 minimum. So either he goes on the bench and you've got an extremely, extremely expensive bench warmer and Maddison plays, or it's the other way around. So Maddison is 40 million, he's sitting on the bench.
Or unless
so the same happens with Calafiori. If you sign Calafiori for now, it's 50, 55, whatever it is, that's stupid money. But he'll be cheap in the long run. He's going to be a cheap signing for anybody, right? Who do you sit on the bench? You either put Mickey on the bench or you put Calafiori on the bench. And if you play Calafiori at left back, you're putting a doggy in the bench. Do you know what I mean? So, and you're kind of cutting his progression as well because he's actually like a present force in our team, right? So it's one season, but everybody who's doing a starting lineup would say, right, we got Vic, we got Borro, we got Romero, we got Vidio, we got a doggy, right? That's who he would be. He would be our first choice left back. It wouldn't be Calafiori, right? But if it is, Udogie's on the bench. So this is the kind of thing. If you're buying like for like players, quality, price, and everything, you're going to have an extremely expensive bench, right?
Isn't this what we want?
It's what we want.
Isn't this what we want, though? Competition for places.
No, competition is one thing. Competition is one thing, and paying exuberant prices for someone that's a bench warmer is another thing completely different, in my opinion. You see, so I mean, it's difficult. The question is, would I have him? Of course I would, but then it raises. Yes, you've got competition. I see competition as matters because Matters has been shit for quite a while. His injury has been questionable, and we've seen or we've heard from possibly other social media outlets, X or on other streams as well, that people in and around the Leicester area know that when he's got injured, he takes a long time to come back. And so, do we really want to pay like Maddison? Has he been that spectacular, or is there the £60 million jackpot that we need to pay, and Maddison can just play bit parts? It's very complicated, of course, when we don't know.
Do you think we can afford to wait because Phillips is out there? You've got Dorrington coming back for injury, and at the end of next season, you've got Vuskovic coming in, haven't you?
The thing
I understand that. I understand that, but by the time you're looking at next season, Calafiori is already starting his second season at another club.
Yeah.
So we're not waiting.
I don't think we need a centre back personally. Soren, your take on this?
I agree with Chris there that the problem with Calafiori, I mean, I'd love to see him come to Tottenham, and I've said it once or twice now that that's the player I would like to see. But then you've got Calafiori and Dragusin sat on the bench. Do we honestly think Dragason's going to be happy to sit on the bench for another season?
No.
Yeah, he might do it one more season, but he's not. If he's not playing soon, he's gonna be shouting about it. And it's all right as going on about competition. And I agree, we want competition. But you kind of want players that, the mentality's got to be right. Whereas if you get a player of Calafiori, he's a young lad, well, we're slowing down his progression to where he might be. And if he's sat on the bench, is he going to lose his Italy spot? It's the same as Dragusin. If he doesn't play, yes, it's a bit different for Romania because they maybe haven't got players that are better than him that can come in. But can you imagine Romero? If he's sat on the bench and Dragason's up playing, he's not going to sit around for long, sitting on the bench. Well, it's all right.
Well, his agent has already been crowing several times.
Yeah. I mean, this is the problem that, especially if you're signing kind of young players that are hungry, that they're not going to want to come and sit on the bench behind somebody else. Now, if you've got Champions League and you say to them, right, we're going to flit and flop, and they're playing in Champions League, it's a little bit different. Exactly. I think Pierre's, he's been a little bit more professional. He's the sort of player that has sat on the bench and he's come on.
He's accepted it. He has accepted it.
But he doesn't want to do it for another season.
I disagree. I think with Højbjerg, I think Ange wants to keep him, but I just think Højbjerg wants game time.
Yeah, but what we're saying is, though, this last season he's been, he's done the sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
And he hasn't complained about it, but he doesn't want to sit on the bench for any longer. And that's the problem. If you get players, it's like Chris has just said, if you get Eze in, it's either Eze or Maddison probably. Well, if Maddison's already suddenly dropped to the bench, do you think he's going to want to stay for another season or two to sit on the bench? Do you think Eze is going to come in and sit on the bench just because we're going to say to him, it's competition, so, it doesn't work. This
is why Ange gets paid the money to rotate the squad and to sort this out. This is why he's paid his wage. This is why we'll see if if he is made of the right stuff to be able to.
Adrian,
Pep does it. Klopp does it.
The problem with that is when you talk about Pep and Man City, they're winning trophies all the time. So yes, them players are more happy to sit on the bench. If you come to Tottenham and we're not winning anything, but the problem with rotating a lot as well is you don't get that cohesion, you don't get that role, you don't get that belief in the squad that playing together gets you. If you're a player you can have the greatest game that you've ever had, but next match you dropped. It does, you know, these players don't want that. If you're having a good game, you want to play the next game. You want to play the next game, and then you want to play the next game.
It may be like someone sort of commented here. Maybe the White Ange does go for younger players, because if you've got a 21-year-old, 22-year-old that's very good, he might be content to bide his time.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's some logic in that. Personally, I don't think Calafiore will come. I'd like him, but I don't think he'll come. He's left-footed. You're not going to get Nkappi either, who's left-footed. It's not going to happen, right? I don't think we're in desperate need of a centre-back with the two kids coming through. I would even take. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Ashley Phillips getting game time. We've got 6 friendlies coming up, right? So, and I think he can hold his own. The guy's a tank.
Well, he's right-footed, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, I mean,
Dorrington's left-footed. And he's better on the ball.
But that's the problem with Ash Phillips, that if he comes, he's behind Dragusin and Romero. That's the downside for him at the moment. I think.
Yeah, but he's 19. He's 19, and Dorrington.
Dorrington's 20. But what I'm saying is, though, I think Dragusin. It's a little bit like the Harry Kane situation. It wouldn't surprise me if Dragusin's been brought in, knowing Romero might go, because. You know, and then you've got and Ash Phillips behind him.
I think we can shoot the fox with Romero and these rooms.
I don't think he's going this year.
No. That was the point I was going to make, because clubs in Europe that looked at him. I mean, but obviously now he's a great player. He's a fantastic player.
Oh, he's
but he's class. So, but they're not going to stump up the money for him anyway. And even top clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona, if they wanted him, they'd look for someone younger. They tend to put their eggs in a basket in more forward players when they go for him. And the other thing we have to remember Romero is, and someone said to me, why don't we give him another contract? Hang on. He's got 3 years left on his contract. You give him another contract, you're showing signs of nerves, you're worried he's going to go. Right? I mean, you don't do that. I think no matter if I like a player or not, when we get down to 2 years, like you're saying, like you're alluding to, Soren, at the end of this season, next season, when he's down to 2 years, you sit down with the player. If you don't want to sign a new contract, and it can only be over wages then, because he's obviously happy at the club, he likes playing there, right? Then you sell him. Then you do sell him. And you sell anyone who gets down to 2 years now. You don't let the Kane saga happen. You don't let the Ericsson saga happen, although we did well to get 16 mil from him in January when he only had a few months to go on his contract, you know. You don't let that happen. So now it should be hard. You've got to be ruthless with this. When a player's down to 2 years, we want you to stay, we give you a rise, blah, blah, blah. And if the guy goes, well, no, I don't want to sign a new contract, well, then we'll sell you.
See, I disagree with you there, Adrian. I think now is the right time to give him a new contract, because yes, he's got 3 seasons, but to me, you leave it till next season. If we haven't won anything again, he's probably not going to sign. So to me, you get him to sign when there is more chance of him signing, because a player like Romero, if he signs now and we give him more money now, it only means he's going to cost more when we do sell him. That's the way I look at it.
26 now, is he?
26 in here, I think. But to me, you get him to sign another contract now. That's my opinion, because if we leave it till next season,
as defenders mature, if you were going to do that, I'd want him to have a 6-year contract, time to 32.
Well, I mean, even if you put it on a 5-year contract and he plays another season or 2, it still increases his value to us. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I agree with you when you say it kind of shows that we're a bit worried. Yeah, we should be worried, because he's a good enough player to go anywhere and play. You know, I mean, he's the sort of player where we talk about that player with a bit of an attitude, that I don't mind if he goes out and he gets yellow cards or he gets an odd red card, because that's him, that's his playing. And I don't want to see that loss from him. And yes, he's gone through this last, you know, since we made him vice captain and that, and he's showed his maturity. And that's only going to keep going. Every now and again, there's going to be a reckless thing. But let's not forget, Last season, everybody was saying, "Oh, he's going to come on against Matty Cash and break his legs." Well, how come it was all right for everybody to want that to happen? But when he does get a red card, it's suddenly the worst thing in the world. You make your minds up, you know.
And on that, and the other thing on that subject, the Ansu system has suited him. He's not as fast as VVV.
He's loving
but
playing.
when you look, and the myth, a little myth I want to destroy here, right? When people say, "Oh, high line, leaving 2 centre backs on the high line," and Chris is a coach, he knows more than me about these things. But like on that high line, yeah. And we're not parked on the halfway line with 2 centre backs for 90+ minutes, right? We do fall back into a mid block and a low block when we have to defend. And how many goals did we concede from breakaways last season? I think it was six or
exactly
7.
my point.
And the point is, and why is Romero? Now, my theory on why Romero and Van der Ven don't pick up yellow cards, because when they're on the high line and we're compressing the play, when the ball's booted forward, probably to a sole striker up from another team, those guys read the game, they outrun them. So whereas when we were playing a low block all the time, you're forever making challenges. You're making a lot more tackles in a game when you're playing a low block because you're defending all the time, right? Waiting for the counter attack. So you might miss time one, or someone might slip past. And I think the high line, my theory is they haven't picked up so many yellow cards because of the high line. That's my theory. Chris, what do you think?
I think that the high line is not an issue because a lot of teams play high line. And I think it was even not Spain, not tonight, but I think Spain's match against, I don't know who it was, and another team that I saw were their two defenders, right, 2 central defenders. They were playing the ball between each other, right between them, and then to progress, they were inside the centre circle in the other half, in the rival half. So it's not just Spurs do this kamikaze and just clueless. He wants to score 26 million goals in the first half, and that's what it's got to take to do it. It's not about that at all. The problems I see in our defence, because the defence is the one that's you can see the goals, your goalkeeper and your defence. The issue for me is the fact that the mechanisms in midfield were not put properly. They weren't understood, or the players are not good enough to play that kind of football. Meaning that who suffers? Your defence. If you can regain the ball quickly in midfield after a loss, you're not going to get hit on a counter-attack. Because unless you're sloppy like we were last season, because you give your rival a hell of a lot more time to get players up and to get that ball out or to combine or whatever you want. But if you press accordingly, right, and your players are putting into work those mechanisms that hopefully this season will be improved, then you can play high line all you want. It doesn't really make a difference because high line is not an issue. Inverted fullbacks is not an issue. It's the defense. It's the defense on when to spring the offside trap, for example, and it's the midfield that have to contain or regain, or if not contain that counter-attack. So the defence is amazing. Has nobody seen our defence? I mean, bar the statistics. We've got a brilliant defence. We've got a great goalkeeper. It's just the mid that hasn't been able to contain those breaks.
Well, I was glad to see the fact that Vicario in the last couple of games was like starting to throw his weight around a bit, and that Dragerson was protecting him at one time in one game, I forget. So that was a bit better for that defensively. Having said that, though, we did concede 14 goals from set plays last season.
Yeah, but I want to caveat that 7 were from the pen. Seven were penalties. So 7 are set plays, of which 2 were free kicks and 5 were corners. Okay, so if you want to break it down, yeah, okay, Man City had 2 and Arsenal had 1 or 2 or 4 or whatever they had. But they've been playing for 8 years. 6 years, 5 years, 2 years. We've had 1 season, right? And in one of his interviews said that he trusts his staff. It's not trust. Sorry, trust is not the word. He likes to give people opportunity to show their worth, right? Now, unfortunately, I don't know. I'm not privy to it, of course, but I think that Millie and Ryan did not cut the cloth accordingly because of inexperience or because, or whatever. And next season, our defensive woes from set pieces, etc., will be alleviated.
Well, we brought in different people for that, because we've now brought in
well, there you go.
The Scottish guy and Raymondo. They both paired together.
Yes.
So
there you go. So hopefully, I mean, you know, it's the getting to the set pieces that is the problem as well. Because if you're conceding a lot of corners, it's because you haven't defended properly. Now it's not just defenders that defend. The team that hasn't got the ball is a defending team, right? And that is theoretically and factually correct. You have to defend properly. Whether your strikers aren't, or your forward players aren't pressing, whether your midfield isn't pressing and trying to regain, or your defense, whatever, or your goalkeeper fucks up. That's possible as well. But it all comes from the front, right? It all comes from the front. If you can't regain, if you can't press, if you can't put your rival under pressure to make the mistakes, you're going to concede. Either counter attacks, combination plays, long ball, corners, all of these things. It's all, I think I'm saying very basic things. I mean, I sound basic when I talk, but it just makes sense. If you alleviate all of these things from happening, like Arsenal, like Man City, like your Liverpools, right? You will not concede these kind of goals. And it just makes pure sense to me.
If we go through our back line, how many players, who are you going to replace Vicario with from the Premiership, for argument's sake?
I don't know.
So who are you going to play? Who are you going to replace Udogie with? Who are you going to replace Van der Ven with? Who are you going to replace Romero with? Who are you going to replace Porro with? Nobody. You come into our midfield and you say, who are you going to replace them? That's when you start to say, yeah, so-and-so's better or so-and-so's better. So our back line, you don't change.
No, you don't.
But if you look at when we've conceded most of those goals, whether it's been the break or whatever, as daft as it sounds, it's games when we haven't had Richie up front because he's closing down. It's games when we've had, say, Brennan Johnson on the right and they've come down the right, or Brennan Johnson on the left because he's not closing down. It's when the system that Ange wants to play has broken down up front, we've conceded goals. Yes, we've conceded a lot of set plays, but if you actually put it over the season, and like you say, you take out those penalties, it's not a lot of goals. It was just that it was all condensed to several matches in one big clump.
Yeah,
if you go to the first 10 games, 10, 15 games, I don't think we conceded against the set play.
No. All I can say is that I've done a whole analysis on a spreadsheet, on an Excel spreadsheet, and I've rewatched, because obviously last season I couldn't watch all the games for personal reasons, but I went back and I watched all the goals that we conceded, all of them, and the majority of where the problem starts and where it finishes, comes from the centre. It doesn't come from the flanks, right? It all comes from the centre channels. You got the main channel, you got the half spaces. It all comes from not all of it. The majority of the goals conceded come from the midfield towards the goal. Okay, yeah, we've conceded from the flanks, of course, right? That's fine because they've started on the flank and they've ended up wherever. But if you don't contain those chances from the wings, for example, you're in trouble. And we even saw that in pre-season, where I don't know whether it was against Leicester or I don't know who it was. Pedro Porro was just looking at his man. Someone dinked round him, crossed back post, and we conceded. We've been like that all bloody season, far post. Obviously, it's the weakest link. Whenever you switch play, your weakest link is always going to be the other side of defence. That's just factual. But when you're crossing from the right flank towards the left flank, switch of play, Pedro Porro is like 5'2". I mean, not literally, but to get the idea. But if the cross is being made, if someone's not containing it, you see, right? Regardless of where it ends up, it's also not being contained. So flanks, crosses are going to happen. But I tell you, the statistic that is proof from watching all the goals is the centre and the half spaces are the problems at Spurs for last season. And where does it originate? Midfield.
Well, the coaching situation, just to like bring you up to date on it a bit. I mean, Matty Wells, ex-Spurs player, who was with Scotty Parker, I think at Bournemouth, wherever Scott Parker was, and he's done his term there. He's now the head coach. But you know that Millie Jedinek was a coach at Villa before he's brought in. He played for Australia, didn't he? So Ange knows him anyway. So you got him as well, like so, and Ryan Mason as well. But Ryan Mason didn't get the head coach over Matty Wells. Then we've brought in two new guys now, Nick Montgomery and Sergio Raimondo. Now, Nick Montgomery was he won the title in Australia with the team, and he got the Hibs job. He was Scottish under-21 coach, very highly rated. Got the sack. It's not hard to get the sack in Scotland. There's no money up there for players, is there? So like, and then obviously him, and he's always been paired with this Sergio Raimondo. Supposed to be very good on tactical details. Does a lot of video work with the players as well, apparently, what I'm reading about him, because when they come in, I'm actually well, who are these guys? Right. So we have got quite a large. I mean, Rog Birch does the academy coaching, I think. Like so, yeah. So we've got. I think our recruitment team is about where it should be. I don't think we need any more coaches. You know, otherwise you might get in a situation with too many cooks. But then you've got Chapman, who came in. We got him off of Southampton. He's the head of academy recruitment. And then if you're wondering about the younger players, Andy Scolding's job now. He's now head of loans and pathways. So he's obviously doing loaning out the academy players and pathways for academy players in the first team. So that's pretty good. Yeah. The what else we got here? I've got here only the. We got the September's for fixtures that have been changed. I mean, the Newcastle away game is now going to be Sunday the 1st of September. They haven't confirmed the kickoff time. The next game we knew they were going to change. The Arsenal home game on Sunday the 15th of September. It's going to be on a Sunday, obviously, now. And it's 2:00 kickoff. And the Manchester United away game on Sunday the 29th of September, the kickoff's 4:30. We knew they were going to change any big games that were paired up, you know what I mean? But, yeah, back to the coaching. I get Angie's point when he turned around and said, what do I need a set-piece coach for? I mean, what do coaches do other than that? I mean, do you work on set pieces, Chris, when you in your did you have to do them for your badges and things like that, or what?
Set pieces, no, not per se, but during the season, of course, because the team coach, you know, the number one, I was essentially number two. Number one, he does his own thing. He's more prepared. He's got more badges, so you have to be under the wing of someone who's more qualified. And he would especially do in training corners and throw-ins. Right, we're talking about under 13s, right, level, but you still have to do that. You still, because at that age, I think it's from under 11s. I get confused with the Spanish system and the English system, but age-wise, it's under 11. Up to under 11s, you don't really look at tactics. You don't really look at technical stuff. But from then on, you do. And this coach is very good at that. And yeah, we used to do set pieces, corners. Who would get far post? Who would get first post? Who would do this? Who would fall short? Who would be on on the edge, etc. So yeah, you do it. But in the actual course, it wasn't something that was required. It was more how you would set up a training. Obviously it's just it's a huge course to do over a whole year, but it's more of they put you into a situation and you have to invent something according to what they've given you to do, like the task. So yeah, but I mean, set pieces, everybody that was in the know, everybody that's a coach, right, everybody that's a coach on social media was saying bring Giovanni Vio back, right? But Giovanni Vio was an attacking set-piece specialist, right? And Stellini was the defensive, right? Okay, so what the bloody hell are we talking about? At least be factual, at least. I don't know everything. And what I say sometimes is factual and sometimes it's opinion or what I would like, but at least on the minimum be factual about it. Giovanni Villa's done a book apparently about 4,000 attacking set pieces, depending on the players, depending on the team, depending blah 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 blah. We could be here until next Monday talking about it, but he's not the defensive specialist. Yeah, he can chip in. I'm sure he knows a bit more about it than Ryan Mason or Jedinak, to be honest and to be fair about it, because he's been in the job a hell of a long time. But you have to get the people in that know what they're talking about.
The thing is with that though, Chris, is the only reason that they were saying get Johnny
Vio
back was because they just wanted something to moan about. That's all it was. It was just another moaning session, rather than it being factual. And yes, everybody kind of knew Stellini was the defensive coach, but it didn't fit with the argument that they wanted. But anyway, I'm going to have to jump because I've got work in 3.5 hours now. So
well, thanks for coming on, Soren. It's been a fantastic show. We've maintained the interest all the way. The thing I was going to say about what's exasperated me about set pieces, attacking ones, is the fact that back in the day, you'd have a players would work a lot of these out themselves. You'd have someone tap the ball to the side, and one or two of your best players who got the best shots would have a shot at the goalkeeper. You'd have someone chip it over the wall. You'd have a member of Argentina when Otto was manager. They got their equaliser on Argentina. They slid the ball down the side of the wall, and Argentina scored. Now everything seems to be robotic. There seems to be some unwritten rule that if you make a wall, someone's got to try and bend it around the wall. And if it's scored, it's great TV, But when I looked at the stats for that, Chris, 1 in 16 goals are scored from a player trying to bend it around the wall. Well, surely then, logically, you'd look for a better way of trying to lower that statistic, right? And what's wrong with a tap to the side and someone blasting one? You might get one, ball might come off the keeper and some might run in and tap it in the net. I mean, this slays me. The same with corners. We faff about with corners, right? 1 in 33 corners results in a goal. So when a team gets a corner against us at Spurs, I'm quite relaxed in my seat because I think, all right, well, I'm going to see a few going this season, but I ain't going to see many because it's 1 in 33, right? And then we faff about with short corners. And when you mess up a short corner, it looks bad. It's painful. It's painful to watch, right? What happened to the flick on at the near post, which Gilzine used to do, or even Sherwood did, or what happened to that? What happened to the kick from the corner to the corner angle of the penalty area when Sheringham used to run in and score a goal? These are things players can do. You don't need a coach to I mean, it's not like it's a science to work out a different way of doing a free kick. I do believe you should keep them simple, not overcomplicate, like make them 5 passes or stuff like that, But with a maximum of 3 passes, you should be letting a shot off, or it's just a tap to the side and someone's. I mean, it slays me. I think we would score more goals if we tapped it to the side, because then the wall panics. They know what's coming, so they're going to break anyway, right? And I mean, like, it just slays me.
To be honest, the game has changed. Like before, you wouldn't be able to have the players, like your own players, in between the wall. Right now, you can. So it has changed somewhat. And I mean, I don't have a 100% answer for you. I just think the game has changed slightly. And when you've got a 5-man wall in front of you, you've got to do something. Now they started doing it where you put a man on the floor lying down, then you've got this, and then you've got the other, and then I think the game just kind of ebbs and flows, and you just make the most of what you've got. But it also has to do with like your savvy. You know what I mean? It's like even if, as a player, I mean, even if your coach says, right, this is what we're going to do, we're going to play a mixed whatever to defend. Attacking wise, we're going to do this. The ball's going to go to the back. We're going to head it on to the mid, to the centre spot or to the penalty spot, and then we're going to head in or tap in or whatever. But then it doesn't always work that way. More often than not, the actual players make their own decisions because it's so. Within a matter of seconds, people have to decide. You see, and I mean, it could be that as well. I think it's just down to the game. It's just been changed. I mean, Eze scored a great goal against us at home. You alluded to that before. So I don't know. It's just I see a lot of things here in Spain as well. That
I mean, another thing. another bugbear of mine as well is like his throw-ins. You used to see, I mean, players, you know, fighting for the ball, struggling. I've got hold of the ball. It's our throw until the linesman or ref makes the decision. And then as soon as you get the throw in, you waste it. Now, I get the fact that you've only got 9 outfield players now to the opposition's 10, right, there, because you've won the throw. But if I ask someone like, who's got the longest throw in the Spurs team? Someone must have a long throw there. I mean, Stoke used to use it with Rory Delap. I think he had a long throw, used to launch it independently. There are a few players out there that do it. But if not, if you can get it 2/3 of the way there or something. I mean, I see so many, to me, I see a lot of wasted opportunities in the modern game. It's become that robotic. It's got in the players' heads. They've stopped thinking for themselves in a lot of ways. I think it's just, you know, and like, this is why we like a maverick player like an Eze or someone like that, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it is definitely more positional than it used to be. So that means that, in my opinion, you need more technical players and you need more movement to, you know, I mean, it's not so like English football used to be long ball up to strikers and either finish or head down, you know, for second line to come in behind, and et cetera, or crossing. Now it's more positional where everybody has a position and only a few players can do certain things. But it wasn't, you know, it's not always, it's not just now. I mean, I don't know whether I said on here or on another stream, I remember Louis van Gaal when he was at Barcelona. He had Rivaldo. Now, Rivaldo was an amazing Brazilian player, right? But he wanted to play Rivaldo on the left wing. And Rivaldo was like, what the hell are you wasting me out here for? I've always been a number 10, right? Or a second striker, number 10, that kind of, you know, in the mid channels, in the center channels, always. And that tactical rigidity, it didn't start with Pep. It didn't start with, like, you know, 5 years ago. It's just amalgamated over time into a more positional, because the game is more studied now. You know, it's just, it's some I get the sensation sometimes that you can't evolve with football because it's just been so studied, it's just been so looked at, that how can you progress? But then someone comes along with a different tactic or a different way of playing, or a different, you know, different mindset, and just completely sideswipes the whole that current way of playing for that moment and thinks, oh, this is good, you know. So it's just more positional. That's all it is. But creativity, well, yeah, perhaps,
right.
I don't know, depends.
On that note, I think we'd better finish. I mean, it's been a very thoroughly enjoyable show. We've covered a lot of things, but it's been very enjoyable, and I hope we've kept it interesting. Big up to the chat. We're nothing without the chat channel. Big up to my guests, Chris, Mod Mark, and
Soren.
Sorry, I forgot his name there. See, I'm getting brain fog and tired now, right? Okay, so I'll play you out with the wonderful Dreams of Desire after our win against Liverpool. Thank you all. We'll be back Sunday. Ian Meth is doing a show on Sunday. So hope to see you all then, those on playback. So here goes.